Welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. I'm AVRL, here with me is Smite as we get into the final match of the evening and the final match of the fourth round robin. Blank versus Machi. It's a heavy one. A lot rides onto this. Blank's opportunity to secure their spot into the top three, and Machi's opportunity to usurp them and take their spot into the top three potentially.
Oh, but the thing is, though, for Machi, it's only the very first step that they're going to have to take to get past Blank.
An important step, but it is true, the first step.
Here's Machi right here, and as I was saying, right, it's the first step, but if they miss this first step, it puts them almost entirely out of the running to get into that top three, so this is where they come in. They need to come in big, right? They need to beat Blank. I don't care if it's a 3-2, 3-1, or 3-0, they need to beat Blank here. Taking one or two maps, that's not enough. You've got to win the series.
Three ends, well, you know, it is a must win. Like you said, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, whatever it is, you'll take it. But if you're a Blank fan, you'll be looking for a Blank victory today. So get your Blank faces on. This is your team. This is your moment to make sure Australia gets into top three.
Because Blank, of course, they can afford to drop this game, but there's no way in heck that they're going to want to do that, because as well as staying in the top three, they also need to show that they are the powerhouse from Australia that all the Oceanic fans know them for. And the fact is, they have been dropping games to AHQ and Flash Wolves.
All right, some quick thoughts from Ristia, team captain of Machi.
We're looking forward for a great matchup today, and we got all our gear fired up, and we got all the passion that we need to win. Wait. Wait a second. Oh, I'm a bit nervous, so. So we will show everyone what we're capable of. We're here to win. Machi, let's go!
I like it. I like it.
哇，
It's a really
既
nice
然
one.
对方也讲英文，我好像讲英文也会不会有点不太好意思？那我也是用这种讲啊，谢谢你们啊，我们今天也会尽力以赴，请大家就是继续支持我们，谢谢。
Right,
Now,
says thank you very much, Machi. We're going to do our best here and give everyone a good show. Thank you very much. And stop at the top of that as well. Serenity was kind of like, maybe I should do this one in English. Now I'll do it in Chinese. So there you go. Give me a bit of work to do as well.
Yeah, I like the respect out of Restia. I believe the English there was for Blank and their fans as well, just to give them a bit of shout out how much they respect the team as well. And you know, good on him for doing that too. But also the words of what he said, the passion, the fire that they're bringing, and to get all the fans behind them as well, because like we've been saying, this is such an important matchup for Machi. They need to come in here with all the enthusiasm that they can get.
You know, I like to see a close game. And you said one of the score lines 3-2. I wouldn't mind seeing a 3-2 for either team. Realistically, 3-2 would be a pretty exciting scoreline. Be very scary for Blake though, because it would say a lot for them going up against AHQ and Flash Wolves into the future. Let's get reminded a little bit about the lineups here. Is Machi up on first? You're going to get to see all six of these guys in a little bit more detail as when we get into the player shots. Blank as well. You just seen them, you love them, you know them. Here they are one more time for your viewing pleasure.
Just very recently, the team that dismantled Sun Sister in a 3-0, but here is Machi, and we'll give a bit of a rundown about the players. DCR1, their main tank player.
Otherwise known as D-Crown, but he's got the W and the O swapped around, so D-Crown or DCR1,
D-Crown.
whichever way you like to say it.
It's a heavy name, I like it. No Talk as well, reliable diva player. I'm not going to put him out there as one of the most outstanding ones, but gets the job done. But there's the real diva.
Where do you get one of those? Do you have to custom make that, or do they sell that? Somebody send me one.
You have to kill a diva.
It's not even the diva play. Yeah, you're right. You have to kill a diva.
And you have to beat Machi to get those as well.
Oh, maybe Machi got to give both of that up and a diva gun, and also their spot potentially in the playoffs to Blank if they lose this one, which is basically what the teams are playing for here. Kant was such an instrumental force in Machi's victory against AHQ as well, so look forward to Kant specifically on the Tracer.
And then, of course, Nonez. I like to think this guy is a great player, but sometimes, although like a lot of other Genji players, I suppose, but sometimes there are just moments where Dragon Blades don't simply go off.
And of course, the man who makes the most intelligent decisions in Australia, that was Gumbo to your left, and here right on your screens is Atar. Star player, one of the star players of the team alongside I Eat You Up as the two DPSs. If you're a Blank fan, you already know these guys fairly well. The Widowmaker superstar himself.
Not just
who is here to eat up both of those Machi sugar cubes right after this game.
Not just a star on Widowmaker though either, it is the Tracer play he's known for too. A bit of a threat and always has the hope of bringing his team back in a fight as well. And of course, Trill, usually, or previously the smasher of good ults, but currently is going to be sticking on to that Winston role as well, diving into the backlines. You can't really smash a Primal Rage, but if you could, you know Trill would.
Primal punches way to victory on this one. Kiki sticking mainly to the D.Va so far in the competition, and like Serenity said in the previous interview, 2-2-2 is their favoured sort of composition. It's basically all they've run. I'd expect them to do that tonight against Machi, and so far their track record against Machi has been absolutely fantastic, but Machi are going to be the home team, Blank will be the away team. That means Machi get to pick maps 1, 3 and 5 as well as the respective starting sides, and Blank get maps 2 and 4, and already the first mate coming on through. Machi pick Oasis to start things off.
And this is interesting as well because Blank are still pretty comfortable on Oasis. It plays a lot into their style as well, and we've already seen they're pretty comfortable playing Sombra as well, so if they want to run that on University, they're pretty happy to. Goomba is also an aggressive Sombra, so if he's the one that is swapping over to that hero, then he'll have no trouble being the dominating Sombra on Control, on University.
Yeah, and if they want to go that way, if they don't want to go that way, look, I think Machi have been pretty solid with just their standard pickouts as well. Kiyomi's been super flexible. The guy plays DPS, he jumps on the soldier, he plays a good Ana, plays apparently one of the best Anas in the competition. I'd be inclined to agree with that. Within the top 3 maybe, plays as Zenyatta and maybe even jumps on the Sombra as well. We even saw Soldier come out of rest here, so for Machi, they've been experimenting a lot with their lineups versus Blank, who have finished experimenting. I think they found where they like to sit, and this is their retirement home right here. 2/2 Street, Sydney, Australia is their retirement home.
I wonder if that's a real place, but I believe it's not because it's not really how street names work, I suppose. But
222 Blank Esports headquarters.
There we go, that's a real place.
Taipei,
Look
Taiwan.
it up, but Blank, let's talk about this 222 going into Oasis as well. I'd like it on the city center specifically because their form of 222 is HR on the Soldier. Soldier's able to get up on that high ground, and when you're running 222, you've got so much vertical mobility with that D.Va and the Winston as well to protect him, to save yourself up on that high ground. Machi will have trouble storming up there, trying to wrest that off of Blank. I think it's going to be one of their stronger maps.
So based off the standings here, Machi would have to win, 7 games to overtake Blank, and Blank would have to drop 7 games. So, I mean, it's almost like, I gotta say, it's a fairly difficult task, and they'd have to start here, so this would be one of those 7 games. They've already, unfortunately, not taken AHQ Esports out. That would have been a game that would have absolutely have helped them out. 11 wins versus 16 wins. A win for Machi would mean 12 wins and still 16 for Blank. Just kind of just make the gap 4 instead of 5. It makes it a little bit more manageable.
Well, look,
they're gonna have to start right here.
If Blank did not win another game, including this one right now, Machi would only be able to afford 1 loss in the last 7 games. And that's assuming they win this series right now. So it is what would set them on the path, but it's still a very, very tall order for them to take out a win here. Essentially, they're almost playing spoiler here, and also, they're going to be playing for improvement right now. Remember, they still have yet to take a series off of Blank, and if they can do that...
I'll tell you what, even if there's not really a shot that Machi breaks into top 3, what they can do here is upset Blank's opportunity to get that #1 spot back off of Flash Wolves, because what these teams at the top 3 are really playing for is whichever team finishes #1 in the group stages gets an instant, direct path to the grand finals. They don't have to play the semis, they just straight up get to the grand finals, which is a big deal for these teams. So Blank, they got a lot riding on this because, you know, they got catch up to do. They're currently #3, they want to be #1.
All right, so we are going to be heading over to the Gardens on the very first stage of Nepal here. Oh, sorry, not Nepal, we're in Oasis Gardens. And Blank, they're not opting to run for that fire. No surprise, you've seen this composition before, but Machi, they were hovering it, but they're running a 2-2-2 of their own, but it involves a Genji instead of a Soldier.
Yep, pretty comfortable here from Machi. No soldiers to play. It's going to be very mobile. Hit squad, the 6-man death squad just going to run straight at Blank, and Cat is one of the main players that took down that really took it to AHQ previously. So I'm expecting Kent rather to really bring it into this game as well.
Well, he's not going to be able to do it if he is sitting in the spawn room right now. Blank take the first kill here, and despite Machi having the high ground, Blank should be able to wrest control off them. In fact, they've already got the point.
They absolutely do. DCL1 takes a dive off the side, and so do the rest of the players. Massive cleanup by Trill and Kiki, so off to a great start already. Cap already gone on through. Machi have to cut their losses here. No ultimates for either side means a fairly even engagement now. And the team that Blank are running are somewhat similar to essentially how Flash Wolves are currently playing the game. So for Machi, this is how you got to play against Blank, is how you also got to play against Flash Wolves. You have to be able to break ATA. You have to be able to catch at least one of these guys out. Maybe Gumba as well would be a really important target. Kent spots ATA on the backline, does get pushed out himself, and we'll have to look for an ulterior entry path.
Machi do have the heroes to get to ATA, and they also have the sound barrier to get in there too. They're trying to look for ATA, but there he is, but it's only going to be Nonez on him, and he's not finding anything, and the Transcendence will keep him alive. Pulse Bomb along in the background, and again, it's going to be Machi taking a dive as they lose another fight.
Machi, very disciplined here. The one thing I got to consider out of Machi that is beginning to look a little bit risky is they're very willing to take these dives, which on one hand is fantastic. It means they're going to get these guaranteed respawns with their team, try and minimize losses on their side, but also doesn't give them any sort of window to win the game. They're just going to keep taking dives off the side, and they won't be able to do that much longer. We're heading into 75% now. Could be the final fight for Machi if they're not careful. Still ultimate advantage for Blank. Got to shut down ATA. Got to get the supports as well. Bad start for Machi, and that could spell their doom. Only a few players left. And like I said, you can't afford to keep taking dives, and this time, no dives for any players. It's just kills coming on through Blank.
Well, Machi, they'll get one more shot, but with 90% on the point right now, they're going to have to gun for it, and they're only going to get a desperation push here. Nonez yet to use that Dragon Blade. It's now or never. He's got to use it.
Here we go, looking for the right opportunity. Dashes in the air, dashes back down. ATA should be one of his first targets. Finds him, not able to clean this one up, and that is absolute disaster for Machi as they're getting removed from this cap point. The gardens belong to Blank. They're going to keep it clean, weed out the plants. Machi going to have to take this one on the chin.
Well, and if you ever thought Blank had a rough start on control in the first stages, it was not apparent there because they just dismantled Machi there. There was no hope of them getting in. And Machi, I feel, they had the heroes to do what they needed to get into Blank's backline, take down ATA, but they could just never get there.
This is going to have to be a very big wake-up call for Machi. That was super quick by Blank, super controlling and dominant. So, if you're Machi right now, it's time that maybe you don't take these early sort of bow outs. You lose a couple members, you're already disappearing from the cap. You need to be able to get these counter trades, and Machi, in my opinion, are far too willing to just give up.
Exactly, and they're also spending a lot of time respawning because of that. That means players like Nonez are not charging their ults up. Even if you end up dying in the fight, you can just get some ultimate charge in the background of some of these fights, throwing some shurikens as you die. He only had one Dragon Blade in the desperation push. Going into Gardens though, going into City Center though, it's gonna be all about that high ground.
Yeah, we're going to mirror these compositions now. Machi going to be the first team to get the high ground, or Blank will be playing from behind. They're going to have to accept the counter position on the lower area. This is going to be the bullets flying across the screen. Only that pagoda in the middle separates these two teams as the point opens up in 1 second. And Blank already on the floor means they have control of the capture point, forcing Machi to come down and meet them.
No one managing to cap it just yet, but you're right, Machi have to jump down, but no one's jumping onto Nonez. It's going to be all on Trill and Kiki to get up there and deal with him. Otherwise, they just have to destroy everyone on the ground. Eat You Up can't get up there. It's too much of a loud noise going up that airlift. So, unfortunately, it's going to be all on the tanks, baby.
So far, both teams, bit of a stalemate here. Neither team really willing to fully engage onto the other, and Nonez is absolutely not wanting to give up this positioning. All tanks now on the floor, and all members from Blank as well, still looking for an entry. There's the sound barrier. This is now the time to fight. ATA attack visor as well. turns it on. The first pulse bomb from Kant already missing out, and that's going to be Machi bleeding members through. Gets a couple of trades, but they're going to need more if they want to hold on.
The trade backs are good. It means they can stall on the point just for a little while here. Also, Atar, his tactical visor was fantastic. It was as soon as they de-mech'd No Talk, took him out of that no defense matrix there, but Nonez, he's got attack visor of his own, and if he could have just got Kiki out of that mech, it would have been good, but in fact, he's also got Trill in his face.
Trill in his face, that's not a nice thing to have in your face at all. Get him right out of here, says Nonez. Attack visor still available for him to be able to use. Oh, a couple of players went down. I don't know what he has in his sight. So far, he doesn't kill anything with that attack visor, so gotta look for a little bit more. Blank, they get the cleanups.
It felt like Machi were just taking a little bit too much advice from you there, staying in the fight when they couldn't realistically win that. The tactical visor wasn't going to find anything. Even if it found up to 2 kills, that would only even things up for Machi. And of course, Transcendence was in Blank's back pocket. Goomba keeping everyone alive then anyway. So now with Blank on the point, it's on Kant and the rest of Machi to take it away from them. This pulse bomb has to connect.
It has to, but it doesn't, and you know, what's the other crazy thing to consider is that we've actually only got 25% over for Blank, so the cap-throughs have been fairly slow. Trill goes down fairly early for Blank as well. This is going to be Transcendences flying through for Machi, and they're taking these fights a lot more aggressively, getting the kills finally onto Atar. That's been a key target that Machi have been looking for a while. They finally find him, and now they need to get the cap over if they want to get anything done here.
It was
Kill on Eat Up as well.
It was 2 good kills, and another 2 should give the point over to Machi, but those kills earlier were so long ago that Blank should be able to get reinforcements. They will be feeding over ult because they don't realistically have a shot at winning the fight here, and Machi, yes, they do manage to take the point. Blank with only 50% to go and can't back up to that pulse bomb.
Yeah, unfortunately Blank didn't manage to cap out too early on in the fight. It was super staled out that neither team wanted to give that one up for so long. So Machi have a decent amount to catch up onto, but nothing insurmountable here. It's not like that full 100-0 sweep like we saw at the Garden. This is going to be a lot closer, or at least Machi would like it to be a lot closer. They'd like to take a win if they can now. Maybe a tag visor from Atar would be on the menu. They definitely want to stay in because they committed to the sound barrier. Atar already DMX, No Talk. Gonna get anything else. DCR1 out of the fight as well, but both supports from Blank falling does mean a retreat from Blank as Atar shoots himself in the face.
Yeah, holding on to the tactical visor, I can definitely respect Blank cutting their losses there. Sound barrier did nothing to help them win the fight there. Machi managing to pull a little bit ahead almost with the next fight coming up. And they do have a little bit to work with, but importantly, their own tactical visor will be coming up. Nonez will be able to get a lot of value out of that, but it all comes down to when the Diva is demech'd.
Nonez already taking a little bit of fall onto the side there, loses the high ground, gives it over to Atar, who looks for a couple of kills.
Finds nothing.
Doesn't find much with the tactical visor, so both soldiers now kind of guilty with that. Nonez wants a little bit of revenge here, finds a Transcendence, not exactly what he's looking for, ends up spending most of the attack visor running away, so that's really unfortunate as well. Takes a fall due to Gumba. It's even trades. Gumba will fall as a bit of payback from Machi, but the cap still in Machi's favor means Blank have to be the ones to get something done here. Kant going down should mean that Blank do get the recap.
Yeah, happily for Blank, they will take the cap because if it didn't go their way, then Machi would have just continued to rack up points, but losing it now at just under 90% means that Machi just needs to win a single fight to start to take the stage here right now. Blank, what have they got left to go with, right? They used a lot of their ults in the previous fight. It's going to be a lot on Eat You Up to get that pulse bomb. And Machi, they can just throw a Transcendence out without even having to wait for something like the enemy tactical visor and just try and brute force their way through for a win.
Well, the one thing that doesn't protect you from pulse bomb happens to be a Transcendence, so Transcendence is not going to do the work if Eat Up can land this perfectly. A good throwing arm, a good pitcher should be able to land this onto something. Early Transcendence coming out as well. Double save Kant. That is a big problem for Machi if they want to hold on to this point, especially now that Atar's back onto the tag visor. At least Machi get Eat Up down, which is going to serve them well, but they still got to get the recap because Blank's about to hit this overtime. Now the tag visor. Atar hungry for a couple of picks. Gets one on the back line, gets taken down in response, but that does mean that Blank are ahead here because it's the Machi respawners desperately trying to get back in. Gumba throws in the Transcendence as well, keeping the final members of Blank alive as they respawn and reinforce. Machi have to leave one more time. They do not get this cap over. It was closer, but it is 2-0.
A lot more fight coming out of Machi that time, Don. You've got to respect them for that one. controlling the high ground, a big part of that. Nunez was up there for the majority of that match, and well, it was a lot of attention that needed to be paid by Blank up there. They needed to bring him down, and quite often they did. And in fact, Nunez, a lot of his tactical visors were not finding much. But the same could be said about ATAR as well.
Absolutely, both teams getting blocked out quite heavily. You got to really credit the supports and the tanks to do with that as well. Transcendence is coming out in good time. Diva Matrixes as well. Both Winstons getting in the faces of each other's soldiers, and it's not going to be the Sombra coming out from either team. They're going to slug this one out.
Good old
Both
fashioned.
teams going to have equal lineups.
None of these fancy new heroes in here. Nothing we need to see like that, but Blank are going to go in. But it's Machi who take the high ground, almost expecting a bit of a Sombra play coming out of Blank so that they could contest one of the health packs and also the low ground. So Machi, very likely in a better position here. It's going to be a lot on the traces here to start contesting, but also with Machi, they are going to be able to touch the point with their traces. So again, it's going to be all on Blank to start challenge that as soon as the point starts coming out. And
challenge they do. A good decent amount of that cap
capped.
is already gone, and Machi, they have to stand on it. They got their tanks there. ATAR's looking for picks in the backline. Kiki already loses Mech. That's a bit of a problem. A lot of your defensive capability already gone. Mech goes down on the other side as well, and the picks come through fairly evenly, and now it's all going to come down to the DPS as ATAR already takes down Cat. That's going to mean that Blank should cap this one through, and they do. Machi on the back foot to start things off on University, not the way they wanted to get in here.
And Blank actually capped it partway through that fight, but Machi is still going in. They do manage to get a tactical visor committed out of ATAR, which does clean everything up and keep them safe on the point, but that's just a little bit of value that Machi were hoping for when they were just throwing bodies at the point there. They can now come in with a tactical visor of their own, a sound barrier to keep themselves alive, but they've got to recognize what they could be playing into. Sound barrier of Blank's own will just essentially nullify the tactical visor.
And Machi need a good opening here because pretty much every time they've just lost the opening fights, and it's been very devastating for them. Pulse Bomb available for both sides. Tracer duel on the back end as well. A decent amount of help coming in from either. Pulse Bomb goes a little bit wide there as well, doesn't pick up what you want. Nunez down is really important. That's going to be the tac visor destroyed for Machi. The chances are going to get destroyed, as well as Ida managing to land the Pulse Bomb, cleaning up the kill into DCR1, and once more Machi Esports cleaned off the scat.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe I saw a sound barrier out of Restier as well.
Yep,
and he just
both teams
ended up dying anyway. And Machi, I say they die so much quicker than Blank there as well. That could have been something they held on to. Remember, Nunez died before he could even use tactical visor.
Yep.
That's got to be something that Machi should have been taking into the next fight. Unfortunately, now they're going to be down to just the Transcendence, but it will just be matched by Gunbus.
And actually, Nunez died before he could, died before the Transcendence, sorry, died before the sound barrier actually hit him. So he's going to need a little bit more help. The good news is he's held onto the tac visor, not by his own choice, but he's got it either way. Ato's got one too, already into the overtime. Here come tac visors now from both teams. Transcendences from both teams. Eventually these run out, then the kills should be coming on through. Who's going to be the first one getting in? Cat, will he land a pulse bomb? Well, is Blank just going to clean this one up one more time?
Can's Pulse Bomb is the only thing left on the table for either team right now, unless another ult comes up during this fight. He still can't find anything with it. In fact, it misses, and Blank are picking up the kills here. Machi just throwing bodies at the point once more. No ultimates to speak of. And map, stage number 3, map number 1 goes over to Blank.
3-0, baby. That is what is on the menu for Blank. Dining at the Machi Esports restaurant, cleaning up house as well. Trill gets the play of the match. I don't exactly, this might be one where he knocks a bunch of people off on Gardens, and that's pretty much it. Batter up, here we go. Victim number 1. As you get a couple more as well. Boom. That was more like a suicide, so I'll give him the suicide over to Machi. It's kind of what it feels like though. Machi already down 0-3 onto Oasis, and pretty sure that was their pick as well.
And the thing as well, AVRL, that looked like not as good a performance as we saw from Sun Sister, because at least Sun Sister looked okay on Sanctum, but Machi
looked okay on
City Center.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah, they looked okay on City Center, so that's about an equal performance. I'd like to say that Machi were contesting a lot better. The issue with Machi is less so on that front, and more so specifically looking at Gardens. They kind of were not keen to continue fights where they lost a few members, so they suicided very, very early on. They just lost a lot of time on these control maps, and as far as University went, I mean, that was super even right until sort of midway through, and Blank really took control. It's not a fantastic start for Machi Esports, but Blank will be happy with that one. This is the kind of level of dominance they need to have moving on through as we're about to head into Map 2. And Map 2 is going to be Blank's pick.
We'll see if they do continue the trend of picking up King's Row like they did against Sun Sister, see if that's what they've been practicing for leading up to these matches. But again, also, we might see something new. Remember, they played a little bit fancy on Anubis, bringing out a Reaper composition and assaulting that second point. So maybe Blank will bring out something a little bit different. But then again, we've got to remember that Blank need to win this match. And as much as that may have looked a little bit easy for them, it still needs to be their best performance that we've seen yet.
Honestly, I'm thinking Numbani here. I think they just go back to that. I think it's time for Blank to pull one back out and show people why they were originally the team favored on Numbani, and it's going to be pretty scary for Machi. They're already down one on their own pick. Now Blank get to choose the hybrid, and this should be looking at for Machi, they'll be staring down the barrel of a 2-0 pretty soon as well if Blank get a really good pick on top of them. So tough position.
It is tough indeed, and also Numbani being that hybrid map that is probably the most likely to first hold a team as well. It's also the potential of a bit of a morale damage to Machi right now, because if you get first held again after being 3-0'd on Oasis, then you're 2-0 down, you've been demolished on both of these maps, and you might be trying to bring the fire, bring the passion today, but it's going to be hard for anyone to stay enthusiastic after defeats like that.
Well, I mean, for Machi, I know how important this is because they want to have a good showing against Blank. Their goal is to beat the top 3 teams. They're so close. They're already number 4. They beat Hong Kong Attitude. The only teams left they got to beat are AHQ and Blank. And I was going to say Flash Wolves, but technically they've beaten Flash Wolves already. So, check that one off the checklist. And they've only got a couple chances left to take down the other 2 to sort of show that they can at least compete on that level. But Oasis is just not going to be where it's going to happen. So maybe somewhere else. Maybe it will wait. We'll have to wait until Assault before Machi can do it again, because that was what Machi won last time against Blank. But that was a different Blank. This is Blank now. Round robin number 3 Blank is different to round robin number 2 Blank. If you thought you figured them out before, you got to restudy them, refigure Blank out. And so far, Machi back to the books, I think.
Still can't count Machi out at all, even if Blank do go back to Numbani as well, because I've seen performances by Blank where they did not look too happy at all on that map. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Detonator almost full held Blank on point 1. Blank did end up winning that because, well, they got through it in overtime, but this was a while ago, of course. But Blank have had shaky performances on Numbani before, so if they do go there, then I'm not counting Machi out at all. And Machi, they do like to run similar compositions to Blank. I mean, you saw that on Oasis. In fact, down to City Center was almost exactly the same. In fact, it was exactly the same. And the main variations were, say, just a Genji instead of a Soldier. So Numbani is still definitely a map that Machi can play very well on.
Yeah, well, whatever the map's going to be, Blank are going to just figure it out in a few moments, I guess. They want to be able to pick something that they're going to be quite comfortable. One of the good argument for Numbani. Wouldn't be surprised if it was King's Row either. They already brought King's Row either earlier on tonight. So there it is. One more time, it's going to be a repeat of the previous show against Sun Sister. This is the map of the evening for Blank. This is what they're comfortable playing. So, well, Machi have... It's going to be interesting for them because I'd say that you'd have to be fairly confident in knowing what Blank are going to pull out here. Blank are going to run pretty much the same thing they ran against Sun Sister.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, unless these guys are hiding something from us in both the interviews and the games themselves, they clearly love running that 2-2-2 composition. And there are clear answers to dealing with it right now. On King's Row specifically, right? You know that ATAR is going to be up in the window, hiding away on that soldier, and we saw Sun Sister with a unique take on trying to take it down, but it did not quite work. There's still always a simple strategy of sending most of your team up there to just dive down on ATAR, right? I don't expect Machi to play anything that's not very similar to what Blank are running. Again, the biggest difference will be that Genji and perhaps a Zenyatta instead of an Ana. So they will have a lot of dive. They will have a lot of kill potential on ATAR, on that soldier, but expect Blank to protect him. Expect Kiki, Trill even, to come up and protect him.
Blank are definitely looking a lot more competent and comfortable on the 2-2-2 position currently. It is starting to look pretty comfortable for them. Like Serenity said in the interviews, they weren't feeling the triple DPS anymore. It's not something they it's not something that's been working out for them no longer. So this is good practice for Blank. To be a good win over Machi with this lineup will really secure their position against both AHQ and I would say even harder Flash Wolves, because they're running the Flash Wolves lineup as it were right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, or like we both said actually, it's a must win for both of these teams right now. Blank are already well on the path to that. Machi with the point to prove. They have to come in hard on this first point as well, depending on if they're an attack first or not. I don't expect them to first hold against Blank. That would be a big ask, but if this game is going to be close, then it's going to go to Time Bank, of course.
One of the few places Blank have been, I say a few places, well, I guess it is a few places that Blank have been first held, is King's Row. The other place it's happened is Numbani, and I guess the last place it's really happened would be Temple of Anubis. So there it is. If you want to first hold Blank, you got your 3 options. Blank's picked one of the options for you. It's not quite all said and done though. This is definitely a very good looking Blank right now.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, expect to see pretty much identical team compositions with the slight variations that I did mention before. And of course, I'm real interested to see if we will actually see past this first point on King's Row, because of course we didn't see it against Sun Sister. Blank fully held them on that first point and did it very convincingly so as well. There was really no hope of Sun Sister pushing past that first point. So Machi are a team that, well, they've improved and have played a whole lot better than Sun Sister lately. So I expect them to be able to push past Blank on this first point, but it's definitely still possible for Blank to hold.
And it's going to be Blank defending first as well. I'm fairly certain. I mean, technically Machi could be running this lineup too, and I wouldn't be surprised by that result, but this looks very Blank to me. And also what else looks Blank is the fact that Blank very much enjoy defending first.
I'm a big fan of choosing defense first as well. It means you have all the information going into the second round. You know if you just have to cap a third of the first, oh my god, if you just have to cap a third of the first point, or if you have to cap it all the way to Time Bank, and you can adapt accordingly.
Yep, and I'm expecting probably Soldier Tracer out of Machi. Pretty much says they're going to run a mirror comp here, so this is it. Tracer, Soldier, Winston, Diva, and then either Ana on defense and then Zenyatta on attack with the Lucio is the composition. This is what people are going to play. Machi attack first, going to be assaulting the high ground on the right side, get rid of ATAR, looks like the game plan.
Of course, Blank still have many members that can just move on up to that high ground and help defend, so expect to see almost a full team fight up here at the very best for Blank, but at the very worst, of course, it's just going to be their members jumping down. ATAR can always opt to jump out that window if he doesn't want to contest.
He might have to do that. Biotic Grenade already comes out for Gamba, and that's going to be the jump out, the dive through from Blank, and now good positioning from Machi. You actually see a full flip on through, so Blank are now the attackers on the attacker's side, and Machi on the defender side. Already someone sitting on the point means Blank can't waste time here. They have to make sure Machi don't get a free 1/3 cap.
Of course not, but it almost seems pretty similar in style of how to challenge Machi right now. Blank needs to storm that high ground and get Nunez out of there, because he's going to be a big powerhouse up there, just constantly raining down threats. Cat with a very quick pulse bomb. He can throw this onto anyone he chooses to.
That's the first kill coming out for Trill. Very unfortunate for Blank. This should open up a play for Machi. If Machi can secure another kill here, Cam's looking for something on the side, got a little bit more pressure on the cap now. Already past 1/3, we're already past 50%. Might get 2/3 as well, known as uncontested. Inside the window, down goes Eat Up, and this is the point now in full control. Machi Nano Boost already in play from Blank as well. That's going to be onto ATAR, looking for kills with Tech Visor, responded by Diomi's Transcendence, and well, with ATAR down and Nona is still up, this is looking super dire for Blank as they look to lose cap number 1.
This is taking a while, so Blank, you know, well fought, but of course this fight is going entirely over to Machi with only a single kill coming from ATAR's Tactical Visor, along with the Nano Boost like you mentioned. Blank's still committed into that, still trying to win it, and Machi, very importantly, saved a lot of their own ultimates, only using that Transcendence to survive the Tactical Visor.
And now a very quick and powerful push on through. Nona is maybe a bit of trouble. Team members had to turn around for this one. And a good punish from Blank, I gotta say. Machi went fairly forward, fairly aggressive there, and Blank responded very accurately, very hastily, picked up 2 members in terms of 2 Machi deaths. But it's going to allow Blank to maybe get a hold around the bookshop, which is exactly where they're standing.
It's great for Blank, but Machi also responded accordingly, not giving away too many other kills as well. And like I said, they still have all of these ultimates as well. There's no Nano Visor able to be used for Blank, but they're still going in.
And Trill gets the response kill onto DCR1. That's the revenge he's been looking for a while now in the game. ATAR looking for a couple of frags on the side of the Tech Visor. Does push Machi on through it. Good choice by Machi to back on out. Don't want to contest during the Tech Visor. Don't have to contest during the Tech Visor. You've held down to a bunch of ults. You've got 5 now in the bank. Blank, they've been using their ultimates to try and stall this one out. And Machi, it's time to attack.
Yeah, Blank, to their credit, despite losing that first point, have bought themselves a lot of time, but Nonez still with that Tactical Visor. A good pulse bomb to start things off with. Machi may be able to do this on a budget push, not even using too many ultimates.
There will be a response, a very quick one from Blank as well, but not a very effective one, and Nonez cleans up house in the back end. Trill's just going to try and delay for as long as he can. Only Gumber and IU up. I don't believe they're going to be able to stay in for much longer. Again, just a bit of a delay, but the late kills does mean a late respawn. Does give Machi a bit of breathing space. Nonez takes the high ground now as the cart moves past the bookshop, and the cart should be heading up to the second bend at any moment now. Blank got to get this regroup, got to get the contest as soon as they can.
But Blank themselves used a fair amount of ultimates during that as well, including the sound barrier. It's going to be on Eat Up to get a good pulse bomb, but Kant in the back line to finds Gunba.
It's going to be an important one, and speaking of important kills, Nonez going down on the side as well. 2 minutes and 28 seconds, still a decent amount of time. That's the cart in a really good position now for Machi Esports. Trill, one of the first targets down, usually that Machi like to take out. Kiki looked to be demeched as well. And the only kills that Blank have are one's to ATAR getting one onto DCR1, but it doesn't look like enough. ATAR goes down with the Tech Visor, or doesn't get enough of the Tech Visor. This is going to be a huge problem, and Transcendence keeps him alive for now, but doesn't get any kills whatsoever. Cart still roughly moving on through, doesn't get the stick with Kant's pulse bomb there. And Blank still trying to contest this.
Every kill Blank can get right now is definitely in their favor, of course, because they are the defenders here, spawning much, much closer than Machi can hope for. But Machi, with the overwhelming numbers, managed to cap it out. In fact, those last 2 kills there will stagger it out, so Blank will lose a lot of chance to try and contest the payload before it gets to this first corner. This is guaranteed distance now for Machi, and just similar to after the first point, they have a ton of ults.
A very powerful push coming out from Machi. No changes just yet. DCR1 still sitting onto Primal Rage. Probably a good idea for the time being. At least Trill doesn't have an Earth Shadow to work with. Now the engage. It's going to be a Tech Visor one more time from Nonez, looking for members on the back line. Gets blocked up. Very nice matrix from Kiki. A charge kill from Trill and the Cat does mean the counter attack for Blank can finally come on through. The aggression, the plays, it is all working out so far. Stalemate though, as Transcendence keeps Machi alive. Trill going down. The front line of Blank are falling apart. Where is Kiki? There he is, self-destruct. Might just look to delay a little bit, but no one is getting kills from Blank. They're all kind of just falling over, and Machi are not just done because they've still got a couple of ultimates. Gets a stick onto the other side.
But the thing is, these kills are coming in quite slowly, and Blank are trading back. You saw that with the pulse bomb as well. That's one of the healers gone for Machi. It's their sustain. A good Earth Shatter catches them out, but there's no follow-up. They only get one hammer swing, but it is enough, as it's going to be RQT picking up the kill there. And Blank, they breathe a sigh of relief as they hold on.
It's a very difficult hold as well, because Machi came in with so many ultimates, and Trill, oh, wow, just in time with the Earth Shatter. It's something that Blank were waiting on for quite some time. You see Trill was getting severely pressured out. Machi going to respond. A little bit of a change up here. You wanted the big ultimates to come out of Machi so you can get the changes. Either the Machi were going to win that push or they were going to get the opportunity to change, and this is what they have now. Reinhardt versus Reinhardt battle, self-destruct, cleans up H on the back line. It's an important kill. And already Machi look like they're ahead. If Kank can get something on the side, Control looks like he's the target. Already a nano boost committed onto that one. RQT gets the boot kill onto the sidelines. There's a hook trying to trade the mech on the other side. Gets the mech. Is looking pretty even. Atar should have already respawned. There he is, taking a lot of damage down one more time. This could be the push on now. Through from Machi. One more hook onto Kiki's mech. You're not getting back into that one. Already onto this Trill stalling carriage. May on the way out as well, but this is just the final defense. I don't think anyone's there. Cap on through, Machi secure the full attack.
That kill at the start onto Atar with that self-destruct definitely secured it for them there. And then after that, getting the hook onto Kiki denied any kind of defense matrix coming out, and that was when they were happy to just pull out the tactical visor and clean up all of the respawners of the already won team fight. There was no delay for Blank after that, which is something that a lot of teams get almost for free. Blank, not going to have that luxury.
A lot more smiles on the side of Machi Esports as well. This is something they've been looking forward to. Oasis didn't go their way. It was really shaky. It was really difficult. Kings Row so far, though, gotta say, pretty good. Blank only had, what I want to say, 2 fight wins on that entire defense. 1 on the streets phase, kind of punishing Machi as they wanted to extend through to sort of spawn camp Blank. And then right at the end there, a good Earth Shatter, a kind of desperate Earth Shatter too from Trill, just knocking Machi backwards. And this is a different Machi squad than what we saw in Oasis. Oasis didn't look very cohesive. Too eager to back out, too eager to take the suicide kills. This version of Machi though, they're on the hunt. They want to spawn camp Blank. They don't want to give anything away. And if they can do this, they'll be looking for a first point hold.
And this version of Machi is also going to be the first one we see where it's not just copying Blank here, not the same composition at all, running the shield composition on defense. Now there are flaws in this. There are windows of opportunity, specifically finding these windows up here to take down the soldier in the window. Always a big threat. If they can find Nonez, then there are these tanks on the ground, they can't fly. Reinhardt can't fly up there like D.Va can. Zarya can't fly. Even with her grenade jump, she can't get up there. Not quickly anyway. So if Blank can get up there and contest, take down Nonez, that's a free kill, or at least denying the position.
It's a well-known fact. Reinhardt's can't jump. Blank going to be running pretty much the exact same thing. Gumba is going to be playing the Zenyatta on attack, pretty standard. Coming through from here, they will discover the triple tank lineup from Machi very, very soon. And a decent amount of HP to get through as well for Blank.
Yep, and well, immediately they go up into the high ground, but Machi have almost swapped positions. Blank almost camping a third there. They are just moving into contest. It's going to be all about getting No Talk this charge, this ultimate charge as well, because that nano boost onto him is going to come later, and it's going to try and get that graviton early, but they do pick up the first kill. It should be enough for them to hold on.
And the flank was good from Nonez, gets Atar right on his backside. In fact, Nonez looking for a second, gets RQT as well. Not the best attack from Blank so far. This is where they have struggled traditionally in the past. The first camp has always been a bit of a boon to the Blank side. If they want to fix things up, this is where they got to fix them, because Gumba, another kill, another death, another stagger, another moment where Blank have to wait before they push.
And I've got to say, a lot of this might be on Eat Up as well to get that pulse bomb up quickly if they have any hopes of taking this first point quickly. This is also a window of opportunity. There's a nano boost actually on to DCR1 there. D-Crown getting the damage down, but doesn't find anything with it.
Doesn't find much, pushes Blank back for the time being, builds a bit of his own ult charge, but otherwise slightly wasted. I would have preferred the nano boost to be comboed with Nonez here on the tank visor. Instead, self-destruct coming online for Machi as the pulse bomb and transcendence are available now for Blank. So Blank got to figure out which way they want to be able to attack here. It is a wraparound maneuver from Machi. Does the pulse bomb do anything? Too much health, unfortunately, to try and get through that one. And now the ultimates from both sides. Sound barriers flying out. Both Lucios want to commit into this. Nonez's angle is very, very good, but already 2 members down on the side of Machi. Take visor could be the saving grace Machi are looking for to keep themselves in the game. Their third tank now goes down. DCR1 needs to get back in the fight because he has the Earth Shatter, but I don't think he's going to get there in time. And Blank, they struggled for a bit, but this should be a catch-up.
Should be indeed, and Blank, similar to Machi on their attack, do manage to save a few ultimates, notably Atar's Tactical Visor should push them forwards as well. Now, they didn't win that cap cleanly enough to just push forward and deny Machi any positioning, but they will try at this first corner. But that's an Earth Shatter in the back pocket.
Yeah, and smartly so, Blank understand exactly what they're fighting into. They do back off. Killing Gumba is going to be a fairly good start. I do not know, I'm wrong, the Earth Shatter did actually come out, and that's how they got Gumba. I would have preferred a little bit more patience out of DCL1. Let Blank back off. They have to attack you here. You can bleed their time out. That's definitely an option for you. But now, Graviton Surge gets to be the next option. He's got to plan against Kiki. He's got to be very tricky about this. Waiting in the sidelines. Kiki does not see this. He does not. He does! Now he does! But the Graviton Surge is kept.
Very, very good patience there, and the Graviton does come out. The Tactical Visor is going to be locked up in there, but he still manages to find kills. No, he's not. He's actually up in the window there. The 2 kills, is it going to be enough? Yes, Machi will be backing off.
Backing off for the time being. Shields are still up for DCL1, which means they still want to contest, and that's the Nano Visor I've been talking about for some time. This is exactly what they need. Here comes No Nares with no talk, locking up Kiki inside the spawn as well. He's very low himself. DCL1 goes down to H on the Transcendence, keeps everyone alive, keeps everyone healthy, and Blank are going to punish Machi. They're going to push them back, and Blank are looking like they're going to cap this as well.
Yes, of course, because Blank now can push forward into the 3rd checkpoint and start denying any kind of resistance for Machi. And I think Machi recognize this because they are just staying on that composition. They know that they're going to need it coming into this last checkpoint. Payload's almost there. Machi, they can rush for this point if they want to, but surely they must know Blank will be all set up into position.
It's actually fine for Machi to do this if they want to, and it does look like there will be a final contest. It's pretty grim for Machi because they don't have a lot to use here. The Earth Shatter for DCL1 could be the key. Eat up. He's one of the key players for Blank. Said this many times. He's got to be able to pick up the kills. There goes the Earth Shatter. Did it pick up anything? I'm not too sure. Doesn't look like any kills came through anyway. Now Eat up. His turn to play. Take Visor gets one onto the backline. Kiyomi already down. Mech down. DCL1 down. And so far, barely any trades. Certainly not enough trades. Do not use the Graviton Surge here. You need to keep this for the next cap. No Nares smartly backs off, and Blank collect themselves yet another cap.
And most of Blank also get to spawn at that closer checkpoint as well, so that's going to be fantastic for them. But you're right, that Graviton, it's going to be crucial. Machi do have the opportunity to come and contest at this very first corner. They don't want to leave it to the second corner. That's just a little bit too far. And of course, with the Graviton, what they can do is they can build up the rest of their team's ult, so it would be great if they can get that, but the defense matrix is always on.
Always on, so they got a D-Mech, you got to get D-Mech Kiki. That's obviously one of the options that you have here. The Graviton does come down anyway, so Kiki failed to eat that one up. DCL1 clean up kill onto Eat-Up, but this is kind of an okay trade for them because Eat-Up's such an important member. The rest of this is a lot less okay for Machi, and now the push comes through extremely strong for Blank. Self-destruct does not pick up anybody, and Kant will be punished in due for that. The only tools left now for Machi are Attack Visor, and also Kant with, I believe, a self-destruct as well. No, he doesn't even have that, so my mistake. And a mistake is exactly what Machi have got themselves into. This is now going to be Attack Visor straight into Kiki's, Kiki's defensive matrix. Doesn't even allow No Nares to get anything done. The final moments of Machi's defense. Shattered, broken, picked apart as Blank cap it on out. The full cap on King's Row.
Going to Time Bank once more, and called it was either going to be a first hold on that first point or all the way to Time Bank. But I've got to say, when you go to Time Bank, it usually looks close. Blank just seemed unstoppable on that first push there.
Yep, both teams had a pretty good run through. The big difference I noted there was Machi had a much better first cap attack, and Blank had a much worse one where they kind of they dropped the fight, looked a little bit dicey. The streets phase, they were backed up for a little while, but once they got around the bookshop, they were kind of unstoppable, and that's exactly what you said as well. So both teams had a fairly good run through, and this should be a very competitive Time Bank.
Well, you don't have 4 minutes anymore to capture that first point, only a few, and I believe Machi only have just over 1 minute to cap, if I'm not mistaken. So they're gonna have to treat it quite differently, maybe go very, very dive heavy and just contest the point almost immediately. They need to win a team fight very quickly. They almost don't have time to deny No Nares' position on that soldier up there, so not a lot of options for them right now.
Yeah, they need options too. They need to be able to Really push this one right on through. Blank get the first defense. What is that? 1 minute versus 2 minutes and 14. So it is going to be tough. It's going to be a difficult one. A good goal for Machi would be to get the first cap, obviously. And then a good push around at least the bookstore will be a good goal for Machi, because that's when it gets defensible. At the bookstore is where you want to be able to defend once it's Blank's turn to attack.
Well, Trill almost going down with a very aggressive dive there, but it's actually going to be RQT first. This is Machi's moment to strike. They can actually just go stand on the point right now. They just need to be worried about ATAR up in that window, but they do have Nonez providing that cover fire, but a kill back on to Kant should be enough for Blank to hold.
Blank surprisingly hold that one a lot more cleanly than I thought, because RQT down early should have meant that Machi's turn on the heat. Trill will turn on the lightning straight onto the back of Restia. That's a kill. That is another kill now going on the way of Blank. Time's already running out. 5 seconds left to go. This is not a fight that Machi can afford to lose, and so far they're not getting much out of this at all. Nonez picks one on the backside. He needs a second if he wants to get this second at all. Now ATAR responds in kind with a little bit of his own, looking for a bit of interest on that one. Does get kind of shut down a little bit. But so far, no one is dealing with ATAR. Nonez is on the backside, looking for a few kills. Not enough. Machi slowly turning this one around.
Wow.
Kiki goes down. Just 2 members left. Might actually end up being a cap, and this will be a miracle for Machi now. They do get the cap, and Blank are going to have to figure out what to do on the streets.
And also look at what Machi used, just the tactical visor to get in there. They even saved Kant and his pulse bomb. They can use that as a kill onto one of the members of Blank to essentially get a free team fight win and still save ultimates. They can even play this a little bit economical. They've got to know that Blank, they used a few ults of their own. Pulse bomb was used. The tactical visor, of course, was completely shut down on ATAR. So Machi, like I said, they could be a little bit economical on this, but then again, it's all that risk versus reward. One lost fight and you're gone.
All right, so like I said, a good goal for Machi will be to push past the bookshop.
That
will give them a very good defense later on. ATAR going down is a very fantastic start, and with already 3 members, Kiki loses Mech as well. This is yet another failed defense for Blank. Gumba will have to run away, try and preserve his life. Do not even try and contest this, Gumba, right now. If you're alive somewhere, whatever you're doing, just get back to your team. The cart continues. 3 more ults available for Machi, and they don't look like they're stopping yet.
And that was a budget push as well. Pulse Bomb, a very cheap one to use, and Self-Destruct, usually not the game-winning one anyway, unless it's a miracle. But Machi, they're coming up to this last checkpoint as well. A Nano Boost is available for Blank, but Tactical Visor is too fast, so it goes on to Kiki.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the Transcendence now coming through. It is Nano Boost versus Transcendence. Not going to get any damage done, not by either team, actually. And Akiko with the Self-Destruct looking to pick up a couple, picks up a 0 instead. And actually, that actually got Kant on the backside as well, looking for a couple of kills. It is even. Enoch goes down. Now the tag visor from Nonez completely lightning gun through, and Machi will not be able to push this one any further. Just Kant alive now. Couple members still reinforcing in the backside, but this is a token stall out. Blank, they hold it out, but whoa, they have some distance to go if they actually want to win this. Blank on their attack. I said a bookshop hold would be very good for Machi. They get more than that. They get to be all the way back to nearly the 2nd point cap if they want to be. It'll be risky, but they got a lot more room to play with than they should have been given.
That's really quite impressive for a single minute push right there for Machi. But then again, Blank, hey look, they've still got just as much time. In fact, twice the amount of time that Machi had. But then again, you've also got to remember that the majority of that push was just during overtime for Machi as well. So 1 minute does not tell the entire story. They were close to losing that first point, but Blank, they just let it slip through their fingers. So they'll get a little bit more time on this first cap, but I've got to say, even after they capture this first one, it's essentially 1 fight loss on Streets phase, and it's over for Blank.
Don't forget, Blank had a much worse or a much more difficult run through first cap than Machi did originally. So even with Machi's sort of very choppy, unorganized cap through this time around in time back, they got it through in roughly 1 push. Even when it looked extremely dire, they managed to pull one out the bag, and Blank are going to have to pull 1, 2, and a couple more out the bag if they want to get the full cap on through. You saw where the yellow boxes, that's how far Blank got to go, and it is quite some distance to make an overtime.
big ask for Machi right now. It's okay to hold with this composition on the first push. It's a second push where characters like Tracer and even Genji will have their ultimates, and you don't have a whole lot of your own. You're really banking on that nano boost for Machi's defense with that composition. Put it on the Zarya, put it on the Soldier, and that's what you really need to win this fight.
All right, so Eita's actually on Genji, so this is the big change up out from Blank. They're not going to be putting him on Soldier anymore, and so far it's working out for them because this is so much quicker than what they had the first time around. So many more kills as well. For Machi, a huge regrip. I don't even know if they can recontest this cap. They're not got it.
Wow.
And that's actually smart because they don't want to lose any more members. They don't want to give a snowball potential over to Blank. No ultimates on either side is extremely important because now Machi can take very neutral fights. How much time we've got left? 1 minute and 30. So Blank have a decent amount of time to work with. It's a good start.
They have essentially the opportunity to lose one fight, but if you're Blank, you definitely don't want to have that happen to you right now. The other thing about that fight was it was won so one-sidedly by Blank that their ultimates are so much closer to completion for Blank right now. It's going to be the Dragon Blade is the biggest deal as well, but eat you up, his Pulse Bomb should be able to find value if you can get it up too.
You said the key word there was close, and close is not going to be close enough for Machi can engage early. So they've already missed that window, which means the ultimates fly on through. Good jump on in.
Oh boy!
Pulse Bomb collects Kiyomi, and Blank want to collect it a little bit more. They want to collect the entire one in King's Row if they can get there, and so far it's looking pretty damn good for them. So many kills on their side, more kills still yet to come. That's going to be a full team wipe. And I said, look, Blank got a decent road ahead of them. They got a decent amount to push through if they want to make it all the way to the end. 35 seconds remaining. Machi should have one more fight, but it will be their last. No more losses. This is going to be it.
And Blank save up plenty of ultimates, 2 defensive ults as well, which is going to make it all but impossible for Nonez to get any value at all out of his tactical visor. Even Graviton, even Earth Shatter, if those abilities come up. Transcendence, Sound Barrier will keep everyone alive, and after that's done, Atar can go into Dragon Blades.
This is going to be it. 10 seconds remaining. The Dragon Blade just gets in there. So far, Pulse Bombs have missed, but Dragon Blade does not. Collects one onto the side, sheathes the sword. Earthshadow does get Atar back, and now Nonez collecting kills with himself. Blank, this is the final opportunity. Get your Spirit Fingers up there. Kiki loses the mech. 2 members alive. Atar respawns, but it might not be enough. The timer just starts to tick down. Eat Up is the only one alive. If he goes down here, it is all over for Blank, and Machi may just pick themselves up. Their first map win against Blank. 1-1 is the score. Now we got a match.
Are you kidding me, Avril, right there? That was less than a meter away from getting to the checkpoint, and Blank's fall just short, and the play of the match right there has to be that Earth Shatter in the middle of the fight, the nano boosted DCR1 turning around 180 degrees and throwing that hammer down, catching enough members to secure his team fight the win.
Really important win for Machi. This shows that they have the capability to beat Blank at least on a map that isn't going to be a hybrid. It wasn't a one-off win for Machi. Last time, Kiki with the cool moves on the Diva. This was when Blank capped out through the first time onto King's Row. And, well, if Oasis didn't look too hot for Machi, this looked so much better.
It looks so much better, but do not forget, that was still a ridiculously close match. So Machi are still going to have to work incredibly hard to win the series. They still have to win another 2 to take it out against Blank. But then again, Blank have shown that they can handily defeat them on Control. But hey, look, there's no more Controls left in the rest of the series. We're going to be going to Control next. Sorry, Control. Assault. Assault is what we're going to next. And like you said earlier, Assault is one of the most dropped map types for Blank.
No, it is the most.
The most.
Drop map type for Blank, and after that though, it might actually end up being Hybrid.
Yeah.
Hybrid and Assault have been kind of combined the worst game modes for Blank, and if you have 2 game modes out of a possible 4 that are the worst for you, I mean, that's like 50% of your map pool gone. Blank, however, have a decent win rate on Control and Escort, so they got that going for them, which means, hey, if Blank drop Assault, maybe Blank pick up Escort, and we go to a map number 5, but it is looking pretty tight, and we are at minimum gonna see that 4th map, Escort, coming on through. Wow, I gotta say, I'm impressed by Machi so far. I'm impressed by the resilience. Look, they were coming in really passionate, really feeling it, really willing and wanting to beat Blank, and that might actually end up happening for them.
And your heart has to break a little bit for Blank as well. Remember the time bank times, right? Blank had more than twice the amount of time that Machi had. Machi only capping the first point during overtime as well, so they were struggling right from the beginning, but then when they got into that second payload, the second checkpoint section, the streets phase, they managed to push it on through, and then Blank powered through that first point, took it about as fast as you possibly can, and then even then, it all came down to that last fight, and maybe it just happened to be they forgot about Earthshatter.
Let's be very honest here. Machi got a lot more done in their 1 minute than Blank got in 2 minutes and whatever they had, which is obvious because Machi won, but Machi should not have been able to get that kind of distance in overtime on the cart, because remember, we didn't hit overtime for Blank until they nearly capped out themselves. For the entire duration of Streets phase, they had time remaining. They weren't pressured. Machi were. Machi had to cap out and push the card in Streets phase during overtime. They got so much more work done with more pressure. So, to be honest, Machi's attack was better.
Of course, yeah. No, I definitely don't doubt that at all. It's just, it's got to be a bit of a heartbreaking feeling for Blank. But, well, if they want to repair that heart, they're going to have to do it in Assault. And it will be their map pick, of course. So it's going to be good for them as well. But considering what it's going to be is going to be a tough one.
Yep, well, we're going to have to wait for the map pick. It's going to come very, very soon. The score is 1-1. You're not going to want to miss this either. When we return, it will be Assault. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for sticking through that with us in the Overwatch Pacific Championship. We're about to head into map 3 of Machi Esports versus Blank Esports. So far, the score 1-1. It's looking pretty tight. A very convincing map win on Oasis for Blank, followed by a nail-biter finish for Machi on King's Row. Assault is next on up, and it will be Machi's pick.
Machi's pick is going to be interesting, of course. We have seen pretty crushing defeats from Blank on almost every Assault map, I've got to say.
The only one would be Volskaya.
Volskaya,
We haven't
yeah.
seen a crushing defeat.
Or maybe Machi will pull that out first this time, because Machi, they're confident on that map as well, so I wouldn't actually be surprised to see Volskaya come out. But if you do want to start preying on some of Blank's weaknesses, then maybe Anubis should come out, maybe Hanamura should come out. Hanamura probably more so than Anubis, because Blank in recent games have showed that they're completely comfortable on Anubis, especially in their last series against Sun Sister.
Yep, and a win here for Machi Esports would be very devastating to Blank, because, well, that would only mean Escort remains. So there it is. The answer is going to be Volskaya Industries.
Yep, not too much of a surprise there. More Machi playing to their strengths rather than trying to prey on Blank's weaknesses, and I've got to say that's also something to commend too.
Playing Assault is like preying on Blank's weaknesses a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose so as well. But I mean, unfortunately, Blank do not have a choice in that matter. They do eventually have to start getting good at Assault. And
That is
maybe,
true. And they can start right here. They can start by proving that that win that Machi just got against them, that's a one-off. That's a little bit of a lifeline they're willing to give out, but the last one that they'll be willing to give out, because it's business time for Blank. It's time to win. Volskaya is where that may or may not happen.
of course, a lot of teams like to run that Sombra on not just one, but two of the defensive points here on Volskaya. Blank have shown they're pretty comfortable playing that, and in fact, getting it ready before it's even meant to come out on Anubis happened quite a lot. I mean, Goomba doing it on attack before they'd even capped the first point, bringing it out, even defending first point as well. So we know that they're pretty comfortable doing it before the second point, so hopefully it's quite effective for them on first point for them.
Not something I expect to happen on Volskaya, not something I expect to happen against Machi. Maybe against Sunsis you can pull that one out. You try and pull a quick one, but Machi a little bit wiser than that. It's a lot riskier versus Machi too. Look, you just dropped King's Row against them. You don't want to drop Volskaya as well. I think Blank will be looking to play safe here. Nothing too random, nothing too risky. Get calculated. Get a guaranteed result. That's how Blank should be looking to take this win.
Yep, and like we heard in the interview earlier with Serenity, they're falling back to 2-2-2 because that's what they're comfortable on. They don't want to have to rely on these other strategies that a lot of other teams are doing right now, but maybe in the future it's something they might need to expand to be able to play. But right now, when, like you said, King's Row has just gone over to Machi, Blank need to play at their absolute strongest here. They can't be playing any strategies that, or any compositions that they're not 100% comfortable on and 100% know work against this team.
This is going to be a scary one. A scary one for Blank and all Australian fans out there as well. Salt is dangerous territory for Blank to be on. Sombra's runs pretty ripe here, and based on lore, it kind of works out. You know, it's kind of interesting that this is just the Sombra map, the map where you see Sombra the most, and
I like
still,
it.
it's what happens when you're friends with Lady Volskaya.
Yeah, Sombra just finally asked for that one favor. It was, can you please just make me
viable
viable?
on a map, please, yeah.
And, you know, she used her influence where it was necessary. Closest place being Volskaya Industries, funnily enough. So, yeah, no, I quite like the coincidence that she's
It is
quite
a
viable
really
on here.
funny coincidence that this is the one map she's super viable on.
Orisa
Oh,
not
boy.
so lucky on Nimbani.
Yeah, she didn't make friends with anybody important. I mean, when you're created by a 9-year-old in Numbani, I don't know.
Doomfist still keeping her down. But in any case, it's going to be Blank on attack first, so we won't see their Sombra question just yet, but Machi will be running it instead.
no-
Nonez, interestingly,
No
on it.
crazy attack Sombra out from Gumba. Like I said, standard, control, plan. That's Gumba's tagline and motto going through the initial attack.
Just Kiyomi going to be on the Soldier to make up the fact that it is Nonez on that Sombra. Machi not quite opting to play for that health pack room just quite yet, but now they will be moving in, need to deny Blank the space from that, and also use that health pack, charge up that EMP. Blank need to strike now before that ultimate's available.
Yeah, they gotta be careful, and Machi are looking for an opening as well. That's a big opening, double kill, and Machi is starting to fall apart. Doesn't even matter if EMP comes up now. No talk about the losers mech if he's not careful, and there it is. Unfortunately, not very careful. Kiyomi, if he goes down here, it's a big disaster. Machi will most likely have to give this one up.
Blank have turned on right now. They've just demolished Machi on that first point, and like you said, it all came off that double kill. It could have been a little bit dire for them if that had happened just a little bit later, because of course Machi, they've got that Sombra, they've got that EMP ready now, and that is likely to be enough to stop any kind of snowball. Remember, Blank won that so handily that they are starting to come up on some of their ultimates, but it was also so quick that some of their ultimates aren't even quite up yet. It's going to be Atar needing to get that ultimate up during the fight. And Eat Up, he'll be able to find a pulse bomb for sure, but he needs to connect it.
And the EMP is the important ultimate that Machi are currently holding on to. Once the EMP comes down, Kiyomi is going to have a really good time with the take visor, but Kiyomi kind of has to be alive for that to really be an effect. So the death and the pick out from Blank is super important. So Machi, even with the EMP out, it's actually Atar that ends up cleaning up the majority of the kills, and Blank will be looking for a minimum of 1/3 cap, if not even 2/3. Kiyomi has the take visor, he's just respawned, but I think it's too late.
Well, 1/3 cap, I'd say. Blank may even be able to get the full thing here. They've been saving up ultimates as well. They still have Primal Rage ready for Trill, who's going in, throwing absolutely everyone around, and importantly pushing them off the point, and now trying to block out the tactical visor.
Another 2 kills out from Blank as well, 2/3 capped out. Even if Blank don't get the full cap out here, this is already a massive lead that Blank can definitely leverage. And EMP flying true again, but nothing to really combo with that. In fact, no kills for Machi despite the EMP coming on. Blank don't even care about abilities, they don't care about ultimates. They had barely any to start with anyway. With only Nonez alive, I'm expecting a cap out.
And Atar's coming back up to his tactical visor just in case, but there it is. He manages to catch it out. And Blank storm through Volskaya Industries.
Smiles on the Blank side and fears alleviated, at least for the time being. I want to just jog everyone's memories a little bit. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Bit of a history lesson. Remember Temple of Anubis, Blank versus Machi. What happened in that game? Both teams double capped super fast. And we went to what, a double overtime, where even in overtime, both teams capped it up. RQT saying, look, number 1, you got to get your monthly check. Number 2, cash it, commit to it.
Number 3,
Blank want to try to win this one out.
Yeah, number 3, get good at assault. And Blank, you know, they've shown that they're ready to start doing that. But you're right, the last time this sort of thing happened, Machi just came straight back. In fact, I think Machi was on attack first, but regardless, the results could potentially be the same if Machi just storm in and just take the caps as fast as Blank did, and then we go to overtime with well over 4 minutes for both teams. But
Yeah,
look at that, AVRL, that's a Sombra on defense there.
Yeah, that would be, well, who would have expected? that would be very poetic if for both teams to get a fly through of Volskaya and just knock it out of the park. It'd be a total repeat of Temple of Anubis, but if it is a repeat of Temple of Anubis, you gotta be concerned again because, well, Machi won it last time. So Blank, this has to be a very good defense. Maybe show Machi exactly how to get that defense done properly.
Of course, it does all rely on getting that EMP up as soon as you can, not allowing Machi to find any kind of early fight, any kind of early double kill, especially like Blank found on their attack, holding that health back room, not allowing the positioning that Blank managed to get during that. I mean, ATAR just had very clear sight lines, even down the stairwell, to be able to get that Helix Rocket double kill. So yeah, Blank, they have to not let that happen.
All right, again, Blank are running something that is not exactly the same cookie cutter 2-2-2 that you expect now. Gumba has now become the most flexible player on the entire team. This is a different approach than Machi using the one Blank did. Blank took advantage of the right side. Okay, that's a kill.
That's a good start.
So it is a very good start, and Machi got to be able to convert that into more because Gumba's about to hit the EMP. And by this stage, Blank already got about 2 to 3 more kills. So for Machi, it's a slower start now. That's the EMP now coming on through. Again, need damage to really do something about it. Good responses, good trades from both sides. It will go into Machi's favor if Blank are not careful, specifically because Gumba went down. So he's not going to charge up extra EMP. Machi do nullify that advantage.
Oh, well, they're still trying to defend here, still trying to kick Nonez out, and they do manage to do that. Trill going a little bit bananas there, probably could have held on to that, but in any case, it's effective, it wins the fight, and remember, a lot of their team comp does revolve around that EMP, and by the time it's up, they're going to have ATAR and his tactical visor to capitalize on it. It's one of the biggest abilities to combo up with EMP. No defense matrix. If you can connect EMP with the D.Va, that's enough.
That's the one they were waiting for. So for Nonez, with his own tech visor, he's got to get a lot done here. He's got to get around Kiki. Maybe play around the mech is Machi's game plan here. They got to wait and see where exactly the opening is on the Blank so that they can actually attempt to break through.
Well, both teams do have a fair amount of ultimates as well, but Machi importantly with the nano visor, so if they can get around the mech, that's the most important thing, of course. But watch out for Gumba and his EMP.
No, he decides to back off on that one because he couldn't find the right EMP angle, and smartly so doesn't want to waste it too soon. But the fight has started. Look, Nonez is not going to wait. He knows that Gumba is not going to be able to get the EMP in. This could be a big mistake because it's a massive cleanup now for Machi Esports, and EMP doesn't even matter. You don't have enough members alive, and I said it was going to be Kiki blocking out Nonez. In fact, it is No Talk blocking out ATAR instead. So while it did take Machi some time to win this fight, they should be able to cap on through. And if you're Blank, it may just be time to cut your losses. A few more pickouts just going to be end up beating extra ultimates over to Machi, and they'll be happy to take it.
And it took Machi so long to win that fight because they were waiting for the perfect moment, and they got that. They got it as soon as Nonez had free reign over the tactical visor with Kiki out of the mech. And you saw how many kills he got. And of course, it also comes down to No Talk blocking out ATAR's visor as well, and EMP, quite honestly, not finding the correct targets, not finding enough.
Well, it's not going to be a stomping on through. Blank by this time had already capped out both points, and Machi, they got less to work with than Blank had when they were on their offense. Gumba not on EMP yet, so the timing is available for Machi. I would expect a big commit out here. 1/3 would be the goal, 2/3 you'll take it as an even better result.
Well, Blank rounding up all those ultimates, but Machi going with the visor. No, sorry, just a nano boost, and they do go in. They get 2.5 kills, 3 kills.
Is seriously going to be a repeat of the first cap? I mean, what is going on here? The EMP should be coming on through for Gumba fairly soon on the response, and Machi already on the point, 2/3. Like I said, that was going to be a really good pickup for them, despite whether they cap this or not. But they want to compete in time back. They're going to have to cap it all the way on through. EMP finally does come on out. Now Blank turn on the heat. Where are the kills? It's actually Nonez picking up everybody. ATAR does nothing with that tactical visor. Got to get bumped out. Doesn't pick up a single kill, and now Blank is looking like it's going to be all over the final members. Got to trickle on through, but Machi in full control, and it should be a cap out. We are going to go to time back. Decent amount of time for both teams. More members now trying to get on through. It's Blank's job now to just stall the time for as long as they can. Make sure the timing gets bled out because the time bank still looks good for Blank. but Machi, they get the job done on their initial attack.
You said they had to go in now, and that's exactly what they did. They went in before the EMP was even available, and Nano Boost came out. I just assumed it was going to be on Nonez, of course, but they saved that tactical visor for the cleanup after they'd already got 2/3, and that was exactly what they needed to get a full cap out in one push. And you're right, it's not quite as fast as Blank because of that first point, but in any case, that's still a great result for Machi, who can now take it to Time Bank. AVRL, I know we're going to go to double Time Bank, I just feel it.
Well, I mean, if both teams cap out in the time they just did, we absolutely are. It's going to be a repeat of Temple of Anubis, which, again, is kind of scary because Machi won it last time.
Scary for Blank.
And one other thing is, look, Machi on King's Road, they won with less time in the time bank, so it absolutely is not over until it's over.
Absolutely not. And Machi with the lower time will be attacking first, so we get to see that beautiful attack all over again. Will Blank have learned, though? Have to find those great EMPs, but they also have to connect the rest of their ultimates. If ATAR is just shooting into defense matrix, it's not going to be any good. The one thing that they can rely on is that Machi did take some time to set up that first attack. It does take them time, and during Time Bank, that's not exactly what you have.
Machi don't even have to do the same thing again. If they wanted to this time, they can take the right side approach, and I wouldn't blame them either. Keep things fresh, mix it up a little, confuse Blank, and it does look like the right side approach, at least for Kant, if no one else, does look like the option they want to take as well.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. Wow, where did that sleep dart coming through? Is this fireball all over again?
It looks like it because they take advantage of that and get a first kill, and it's one of the DPS as well. Machi just needs to roll on in with a bigger numbers advantage. They already pick up another kill, but can't. He still can't find anything due to the hack, but does eventually go down, but all trapped into this corner. Blank should surely fall.
If that sleep dart onto ATAR is the game-winning play, then, well, Kiyomi needs the MVP award. That is insane. That Blank and that this is how Blank fall on the first cap. I mean, it's a bit of a disaster. The good news for Blank is they immediately open up with the EMP into the second cap, but they have to concede so quickly.
Look at
after
ATAR.
the first cap.
Look at ATAR and his ultimate charge, 20%. He was out for that entire fight right now. And then you compare it to what Nonez has, which is over double. Sure, it's not going to be a snowball into this next point, and
It will be if he lives long enough.
you can live long enough, of course, to build up that ult, but of course, it's going to be the EMP, like you said, on the opener here. Has to be a big one, and they have to clean up.
He doesn't want to, I don't know about this one. It's not really going to be that effective. I don't think he caught enough people. Restia is going to be the first kill, gets the trade onto Gubba. Not going to see a second EMP anytime soon, and Nonez, if he gets that kill and he gets another one, it will be tactical visor time to know the nano boost is there waiting for him. It wants to be comboed. There goes the pulse swamp, doesn't pick up a kill. It's a bad move from Camp, but he'll have to take it on the chin. Machi need a couple more kills here. Kiyomi already used the nano boost. Where's the tac visor from Nonez? This may be something they got to use here to try and commit. They're not going to cash it in today.
Well, they can also still be happy with how fast they got that first point. They still didn't get 1/3 of the second checkpoint, so Blank can breathe easy with that. They've got their EMP back up, but Machi, they still have time. They still have time to make another push. Remember how quickly they won that first point means they didn't have a lot of their ultimates up. Nano Boost was a bit of a throwaway during that fight, of course, so Blank will punish that, but Tactical Visor still does a lot of damage on its own.
So a much better first cap offense from Machi, a much worse second cap offense from Machi, and EMP coming on through. Ooh, is he going to use it here? Yes, he does. Should be collecting Kiyomi fairly soon. Not getting the kill would be a disaster. Does end up getting it. ATAR going to hold on to the tank visor for a while until he finds a better situation to use it in. And Machi are going to get away with the majority of their lives. They lose a mech, they lose 2 supports. Yep, no talk. Smartly takes a dive off the side as well. Reset the mech, reset your push. But they got to get in. This is a very long push on through. So one thing is already clear. I do not believe we're going to see a second time back. It's got to all come down to this. Machi, they got to get a lot done here. They can't end the second cap without even getting 1/3. They got to get at least that.
Well, Machi did manage to use 0 ultimates during that last fight. It was a very quickly retreated from fight as well, so they did not give too many over to Blank, but have a look at Blank's tick marks, and they're even coming up to the EMP again. The sound barrier should keep them alive long enough, and both of them are used by both teams.
All right, here we go. Massive committals. sound barriers down from both teams. Restia is going to go straight back to the spawn room. And Kiki, ATAR will be picking up double kills.
Big
And
retreat.
Machi resets it as a big retreat, and they're going to retreat directly into another EMP, which, by the way, is going to get comboed with ATAR's tactical visor. And Machi, with only 35 seconds left, no more retreats available.
They have
This is almost looking like Gardens on Oasis again.
They have to set this up so perfectly though. If they can get No Talk to dodge the EMP, and if Nonez can get the Nano Visor out before EMP, then that's enough for them to actually win there. He'll out-damage ATAR.
Well, Nonez gets the tactical visor out first. If ATAR doesn't get something out of this, it's going to be big problems, and Nonez ends up committing a suicide against the vast amount of tanks on his face. Machi falling over by the wayside. I do not see them getting this. They're not even going to pick up a third. Blank fans rejoice because it's going to be the full defense on the second cap, and Machi not looking too happy about that one. They're going to have to get an amazing hold to be able to secure this.
Not even 1/3 given over by Blank on that second checkpoint. So a good hold by them, but there was a little to be desired on that first point defense. So Machi can be happy with that. They can be satisfied because it is still possible to win against Blank here, and it is still almost more possible, in fact more possible, to just draw against Blank here and then take it to Golden Point. But I mean, after that control map and Oasis, maybe that's not the best hope to go for. So really, you just want to win it on the first point here.
That's probably where they're going to have to make the difference. The first cap is really where the magic needs to happen for Machi, because let's be fair, Machi had a great attack on the first cap. They rolled on through pretty much instantly, minimal defense out of Blank. So if they can do this again, if they can get themselves a very good hold on the first cap, that's going to alleviate the amount of time that they have to deal with for that second cap. It's going to be very important for them.
Well, Blank fans sitting on the edge of their seats here. 1-1 for both teams. Not a result anyone was really expecting, at least at the start of the OPC, but now Machi are challenging some of the Titans in the top 3. They're coming in strong. But Blank need to break their defense here, need to get in before EMP is a thing, before Nonez can stop it. They did it before, they can do it again.
All right, so it's going to be the right side push from Blank. We've seen it before. This is exactly what they like to do. Deny out that big health pack was kind of denied for both sides. It just nullifies the big health pack altogether. Now Kent, Hunter Killer mode. It's going to look for a kill onto ATAR, but the first one already came on through onto DCL1. So a good start for Blank. They need a little bit more. They need a couple more kills. Don't want to drop anything else out too early. Eventually that player respawns as well, so Machi, they got to work with what they got here. The EMP does come down, losing Restia, losing Mix as well. No Talk falls over, ATAR goes down finally, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I said Machi needed a good first cap defense. This isn't really that good.
A clean fight win as well, and remember that Machi used EMP during that fight, so they're not going to have it right up at the start of the second point assault by Blank, who, by the way, won the fight very one-sided. So pulse bombs on the table. ATAR will have tactical visor rather soon, and of course Gunba will have nano booster combo with that. So Machi, they need to get in early before these ults even become a thing.
And Kiyomi is actually on the soldier here, known as they swapped sides. It doesn't really matter. Whatever Machi want to do here, try it, get it done, make sure you cross the line. We're about to hit Tech Visor on Machi's side as well. So here comes Blank on their attack, looking for their first pick on out. Restia should be the target, is the target now, looking for number 2. Kiyomi goes down. That's going to be a massive deal. Kiyomi already falls back into the spawn, which is good as dead because the Tech Visor did absolutely nothing in that fight. So for Machi, what is going on? The EMP is up, it does get used, but nothing will happen. And this is going to be the count out for Blank. Wow, what a shutout of Volskaya. Assault is not going to be their weakness today.
And ATAR also saving that tactical visor for the last few moments to ensure that they get that 1/3 point. But also, I've got to say, Trill, massive play on the Winston there with the nano boost, getting in, killing the support in the backline, and then moving in and nullifying a tactical visor as the response.
Extremely well played by Blank right at the end there. Wasn't so amazing on the initial attack and defense, but the time bank was where it really mattered for Blank. They got the full hold up, they got the full cap out. This looks like what happened right at the end as well. ATAR picking up just about everybody on the side as well. Machi got to go back to the drawing board a little bit. We're going to get a definite fourth map. It's going to be Assault, and it is also going to be
Escort?
It's Blank's pick, if I'm not mistaken. So it's Blank's pick. Also, Blank are on match point. Everything does currently look like it's going in their favor because Escort is not one of Blank's weakest maps. It's not a map where statistically they've been losing.
They've got a few options to go through as well. 3 maps, in fact. On the table, of course, Watchpoint Gibraltar is a map that Machi has suffered a little bit on. So if Blank want to prey on the weakness of this team a little bit, then that is one of the maps to go to. Another safe map to choose would be just Dorado, right? A lot of teams are comfortable on that. Blank happy to play on that map too. And then, of course, Route 66, a bit of a wild card map that really only Fireball picks, but I don't see us going there, AVRL.
I don't know, Wild Card, Wild West. It's not impossible either. Blank, they got a few options. Dorado would be the most popular pick for them. I'd say Dorado is the most standard Escort map for Blank to go to. But I'm kind of feeling Root. I'd like to see Root. I want to see Root, but I don't think we're going to see Root.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Root, but there are merits to the way Blank's team composition usually plays. And for Route 66, right, they're running a lot of soldiers. They can have that on defense a lot of dive. They could contest the big girls a lot and getting onto the top of the servo, challenging that first point very easily. But like you said, it's all about what Blank thinks, and I don't think that they're going to go for Route 66. I'm feeling Dorado.
As I said, Dorado, the expected pick out. Route 66, probably what I'd rather see. It'll be the second Route 66 of the day as well. So, I mean, that's something else to kind of look forward to. And Gibraltar would be something Machi would be more comfortable going on. So maybe Blank would not want to give Gibraltar over to Machi, which I think if Machi were in their seat, would have definitely have picked.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so if they do go to Dorado, right, a lot of things about Escort maps is, of course, the positions that you can defend on, all that high ground that is typically quite hard to assault. On Dorado, though, there's a lot of open airspace that you could just fly on top of, whether you're Winston, whether you're Genji, and Blank, sometimes they pull out the Pharah. If they go to Dorado, I'd say that might be an option for them, but as we saw in the interview before, they're happy to just stick with the 2-2-2. I wouldn't be surprised if they've started to scrap the Pharah a little bit.
Yeah, no, yes and no. They almost brought it out on Oasis, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of hovered over it for a few moments and half committed to it, and then just didn't at the end. They decided not the best way to go about it. So whatever, not the case for Oasis, but maybe you bring it out on a different map. And it's something that Blank have in their back pocket, because despite what they're running now, despite what they believe they're comfortable with now, really, hero pool wise and versatility wise, Blank are pretty horizontal. They can do a lot of different things. And I'm still waiting for Blank to pull out the triple DPS one day. I think they can really nail that, because it's something that they've been pretty dominant before with in the past. And if they did it again, I'd have full faith in it.
Full faith? Well, if you were Blank and you were in a series where Machi could potentially upset you, even on these last 2 maps, do you really want to bring out something new? Something that...
It's not new.
Well, it's not new, but it's...
New would be like...
Reaper?
3 DP. No, that's not even new. ATAR does play Reaper. That's not new whatsoever. New would be like Gumber and RQT are now playing the DPSs, and Trill and ATAR are now playing the supports or something. That would be new.
Well,
that's something we're definitely not going to see. So I'm just trying to say here, though, for Blank, versatility has been one of their strengths. They have a lot of different things they can bring out for Escort if they'd like to go there. But just go ahead and pick Dorado.
good boys, Blank. Picking Dorado. Nice, safe, standard map. And yeah, no, I'm just going to say that they are going to run their standard 2-2-2. They've done it on all 3 maps of Oasis, King's Row, Volskaya with the added Sombra in. So
it's what they've been practicing.
Exactly. So there's not a lot of reason for them to swap off of this composition, even though there is some merit to bringing Pharah onto Dorado. There's a lot of challenge to the high ground that Pharah can bring. Blank can still do that with their composition.
What is hard for Blank to do is it's hard for Blank to practice both 2-2-2 and triple DPS. They can realistically only do one or the other, because Trill needs to either learn DPS or learn tank, and You know, most players can't play both. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that he can play both, but it's a curse because to play both at a super high level, you have to focus on practicing one and not the other because the skills do not transfer over between the two roles. So, yeah, it's good and it's bad at the same time. And Blank have decided right now their current form, 2-2-2 with Trill on the Winston and on the main tank with Reinhardt as well, is exactly where they want to be sitting. And if they beat Machi today, especially if it's a 3-1, then it should be fairly good. Kings Row, a little bit of a hiccup, but 3-1 cleanup for Blank. You still give that to them.
You'd still be pretty happy, right? Even though Kings Row was a loss, it was still an incredibly close loss. It was literally down to the very last meter. So yeah, Blank can still be pretty happy with the results of these maps if they do take out Escort, of course. If they go to a 5th match, then maybe there's some issues, but of course going into Escort, like you said, it's a lot less dangerous than Assault, a lot less dangerous than even Hybrid right now. So we just saw them on Assault too, and they did not look as weak as they have done in previous weeks.
But it is dangerous because it's Dorado and there are Los Muertos gang members out and about. Sombra also lives here, even though she doesn't get played on Dorado whatsoever. Sad face emoji.
No lore connections there.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's a really difficult one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's no Volskaya. That's just the way it is.
I'll love it when we get to the moon base and Winston is not playable whatsoever. Totally unplayable on moon base map. No lore connection.
Because there's no peanut butter up there anymore because all of the...
Yeah, he took it down with him. All back to Earth.
Well, also all the test subjects are overrunning the facilities, so I'm imagining they all got the same treatment, so they all have a crippling addiction to peanut butter too, so all of it's gone.
What a thing to have a crippling addiction to it.
There are worse things.
They are.
So
It's
peanut
just a
butter's not
strange
too
thing.
bad.
This is a strange thing to be addicted to. Apparently Blank are addicted to 2-2-2. And like you said, there are worse things.
After yourself out there.
Who's going to be defending first? If I know anything about Blank, they like to choose defense first, so it does look like a Blank lineup so far.
It's always a fun guessing game, but yeah, no, I agree. Picking attack second is definitely my favored style as well. It gives you all the information going into the next round. And also, just looking at the lineup.
First or second? Did you say second?
Attacking second.
Attacking
but
second.
defending first.
There you go.
So there you go. Just to clarify for everyone what I said. But yeah, very likely to be Blank on defense first.
A little bit of a double check there. Yep, that's exactly what we're going to see. Is it triple DPS from Machi? Now this is versatility. We spoke about versatility. I said Blank were a versatile team. So are Machi, and Machi are the ones that are willing to bring it out. And a quick kill onto RQT snipes him out. Kiki may lose the mech if he's not careful, which would be fairly devastating for Blank's defense. Xiaomi picks up Trill, so already a fantastic start. The good news for Machi, or the good news for Blank rather, is that even with the cart push from Machi, you get the guaranteed response. Trill will get back to his defense before Blank can get overrun. So for Machi, yeah, it is a good couple of kills that gives them the free push on through, at least until the archway.
I feel like straight after Goomba died, though, they could have backed off, and in fact, he's actually swapped onto Ana now, because they would have been able to regroup the contest under the archway, but it's already through there, which is one of the tougher parts for Machi to get through.
Yep, it is. With Trill down again, it's going to get even tougher. So now it's just kind of Blank buying a bit of time here. They need to get the counter picks, and with no more mech to sort of protect them, I mean, the entire defense just gets open. Both your tanks went down. Your DPSs should be falling next. Kiki straight back to the respawn room. Now Cat on a little bit of a hunting spree, does get slapped, but Nonez, the other teammate, onto the back lines, look for the other defenders. As soon as Atar goes down, I don't see any way for Blank to stay in this.
They will stall out for a time, though. You can see that as Trill jumps on in with the shield. It does actually protect them for quite a while, and this is Machi actually regrouping just to get one final push. So Blank, they do get one last defense.
Well, Machi kind of left that one. Machi didn't want to commit. They didn't want to cash it in. I'm going to probably stop using that at some point, and Blank are going to have to just take a moment to breathe, because that was a pretty heavy assault from Machi.
If they can find a good pulse bomb, this should be the swing fight. They can stabilize off of this and actually hold multiple defenses at the end of this checkpoint here. They do need to watch out for Kant and his Dragon Blade, though.
The Dragon
does
Blade,
he?
though. Yeah, well, the Dragon Blade, though, so far doesn't really pick much up. It does give, however, Nones a kind of space to use. Rocket Barrage pretty even picks on through. 2 DPSs down for Machi. Good news is they have one more. Now that Ata doesn't really get much, just like Kent's Dragon Blade, it's just a little bit sad. With Eat Up down as well. This time, surely Machi can cap it on through. Doesn't look like many members left alive for Blank. If Ata goes down, it should be the cap, but because he didn't go down, I mean, the damage output for Blank is still definitely available. They do regroup. This will be one more defense, and Machi, 2 failed pushes in a row.
And let's not forget the respawns are quite a lot closer now for Blank. It's about an equal distance run, maybe even closer for the defenders here. And Machi, they committed a lot of ultimates to that fight too. Sound Barrier was in there, Barrage was in there. By the way, there's no more Farah anymore, so running Nones onto the D.Va as well is a bit of a change, of course, because running triple DPS, sometimes you end up with your DPS player on the tank just simply because of hero limitations.
All right, we're going to need a really fantastic pulse bomb here from Kiyomi to really get things going. That is a nice alley-oop play from teammate Kent to clean up I Eat You Up, and now into the back lines. Pulse bomb will go wide. Very unfortunate, but if they can get Trill here, maybe they can just open up the front lines. You still got a decent number of players alive for Machi. You don't have that many members alive now from Blank. It's definitely
They get it.
Very low health, and the cap actually went through because the self-destruct really kind of forced everyone away there. It was actually self-destruct from Blank side.
And because Blank were actually losing that fight as well, Machi can now push on forwards and just contest this high ground. Deny Blank any positioning at all.
Yep, this is not a good place to be in, I guess, for either team. It looked like Ata was going to get trapped. It looked like Ata got baited, but the bait was actually for Machi, and this trap was sprung as well. So this is now the second time in a row. We looked at King's Row where Machi got very aggressive very early, and they got punished for it. This time it's a much bigger punish from Blank.
And if you're going to go in like that on Genji, you need to make sure you're going to get that reset, otherwise that is going to happen. Machi, though, can happily back off. They did get the payload, a bit of guaranteed distance anyway, and that's usually the idea when you're pushing that far forward. Of course, you'd like to just kill the enemy team endlessly, but all the best teams use strategies that hedge their risks just a little bit. But Blank do have a few ultimates of their own.
Which is the problem for Machi, because they were sort of relying on pressure to get themselves through earlier on, but because they fed extra members to Blank, they got to deal with all these ultimates coming out. That's the pulse bomb now. Eat Up goes down, doesn't get the pulse bomb, doesn't get much done at all. Now Ata, Nano Visor, can he find something? That's a big question. Kant on the backside.
Does get most of the visor enough, but it doesn't matter because it lasts long enough to take down both DPS for Machi, who are now going to be on the retreat. But that
nice rocket.
That is every ultimate out of Blank, though.
Yeah, it is. So Machi get that at least, which is a good a good attack for them, because you want to be able to bait all of this out. They knew they were very far behind, and rightly so. They got punished super hard at Blank spawn. Initially, Nones even, he's just going to lose himself over the edge there. Maybe resetting mech. I think that's exactly what it is. But Machi going to come back with a decent amount of ultimate, so definitely favored for the next fight. Self-destruct for both sides.
Yeah, self-destruct. Not the most magical of ultimates, although actually it's probably the most magical, but not the most consistent of ultimates in finding kills.
If
Blank,
it's a magic trick, you don't pull it off all the time.
exactly right. So Kant is going to have to find a lot with this Dragon Blade, because when you're coming in with a lot of ultimates, you need to win the fight very securely if you actually commit them. And they're being very sneaky ninjas here. So they want to contest this high ground, but they realize not too many people are actually up there.
Actually, Kiki's looking for a bit of an angle here, and I expect Kiki to drop this Earth Shadow. Not Earth Shadow, but rather a self-destruct anytime soon. But a bomb gets dropped before that, and it's a bomb directly on Ata's face. Gumba goes down as well, and finally Kiki decides now's the time to commit, doesn't pick anything up. The fight continues. We're actually running out of time here. 30 seconds there for Machi. I didn't realize how quickly this game has gone already. Now Kant looking for answers with this Dragon Blade. I have questions. Who would like to answer that? So far, everyone says no. And Machi look like they're actually going to get pushed off here if they're not careful.
And that's a shame, because of course they committed that Dragon Blade to it, and even though Kant did find a single kill at the start, it wasn't enough to keep it going. And Eat Up is still alive. There's the pulse bomb. He does kill someone.
Got somebody. He got rest here, and that means, well, the rest of Machi unfortunately can't get it on through, and this is a very tough spot. You can actually see them right now there. They understand exactly what they're dealing with here. Short of a first cap hold, I don't know if Machi can do this anymore.
They don't look very satisfied at all, and you've got to say that that payload could have gone a lot further, especially considering after Blank threw out all of their ultimates on the Streets phase, there wasn't a whole lot left that they could do, but they managed to hold on against Machi's onslaught of ultimates, which by the way, it did not come out all at once, which you'd kind of expect them to. It looked like Machi were playing a little bit of the long game. They're trying to hold some on, and you know, for some, that's the correct answer if you want to get it all the way to the end of the checkpoint. But at the same time, you risk what just happened there and not getting any distance at all.
I really expected Machi to get the first cap on through multiple times before they actually did. It's it's a bit of a shame that it took them so long to even get the first cap on through, because there were fights when they had such fantastic starts cleaning up DPS players, getting rid of Kiki's mech, Trill dying multiple times, but it didn't really matter no matter how many players went down from blank. Machi couldn't get it across the line, not until the very end, and it's not a good start.
No, but now they're going to have their shot on defense, of course. Now, remember how early Machi were managing to get an advantage, and they did pressure it all the way till the end of the very first checkpoint, and that was great coming out of them, but Blank will still have to work to get that exact same advantage. They won't be given it just like Machi essentially were with that very, very early kill. So Blank, they've got to be aware, they've got to make sure that they are able to pick up on any kind of advantages like that. Machi need to not let their supports die. Restia needs to be alive.
Yeah, Restia's been one of the other members that has been picked out a decent number of times as well, so short of a fantastic... Okay, that's a good sleep dart. So the second time around now that Kiyomi's been managing a really fantastic sleep darts. This is why he's one of the best annas in the tournament. That's definitely going to put a little bit of a pause on Blank's push just as Eat Up respawns. It's not a huge kill. It's a big enough kill that Blank have to pause for a moment, but not a big enough kill that Blank have to completely reset.
Oh, well, DCR1 needs to be careful in this. Jumping in to contest the payload, needs to be able to survive. If he dies, it's the cornerstone of his team composition. But Blank already starting to pick out mechs. That should be enough, and it's going to be Kant in trouble.
Yeah, you got to be able to clean up ATAR here as well, to be honest. You have to make sure you clean up these kills you commit to, and losing the mech early for Machi really affected the defensive options. Their matrix is so important to Machi's defense. Now they have to sort of fight all the way back. They're already on the back foot. I feel like this defense has just started.
Well, this is where Machi struggled to get through the very first checkpoint indeed, but can they make the same defense here once more? Blanka just pushing forward into this choke point. That's a good pulse bomb.
A good bubble, an even better pulse bomb. Naronez goes down. This is looking like an absolute disaster. Two supports, a sound barrier even from RQT just to make sure no one can do anything about this. Did the cap go through? I don't know. Yeah, it did go through. So this Transcendence is now totally wasted. Machi falling apart. Look at the distance. It's not that much. And there's a lot of time that Blank have got to use.
And especially because they can push forwards like this, like Machi did, but they need to be careful to not walk into the trap. Just like
failed self-destruct.
Bit of a failed self-destruct indeed, but like I said, Blank needs to be careful. They can be aggressive, but they cannot walk into trouble like Machi did on their attack. A good pulse bomb will all but secure this round for Blank.
Yep, I expect Eat Up to pull something out, or he can die, I guess. That's not a really good answer for them, but the card's got a really good amount of distance, and Blank can afford to just wait for a few moments. They do let the pressure off for the time being, so they do come back with a number of ultimates as well, but Machi, they also need this time to take a breather, get themselves set up on the high ground and actually mount the proper defense.
Halo's still moving. They need to go and contest it. This is setting it up so there's only one more fight to go for Machi. Blank have gone in and it's already ATAR finding one kill with the Dragon Blade. Nonez needs to find something with this Nano Visor but finds absolutely nothing and in fact is in trouble, in danger of dying up here.
He's already been counted out by both the tanks out from Blank, and now players dropping down from both sides. More Machi players are dropping down than Blank players. The mech goes down. I don't know what Machi have left to play with here. Members are too far away, not getting anything. If Nonez goes down, I don't see any way for Machi to get in, and just like that, Blank completed 3-1. They're gonna be happy with it. Drop King Road, but who cares? It's a win. Machi, that's it. Their hopes for top 3 are completely gone. I do not see any way for them to get in, and Blank, they've secured it. Guaranteed top 3 position. Now it's about getting that number 1. If Blank can get into the top 3 with the first place, they go straight to the grand finals, and that is exactly where they want to sit.
And after a performance like that as well on Dorado, I've got to say that's looking a whole lot better than Kings Row. Yes, there were some questions about Blank's play over the entire series, but questions that can easily be answered during the next week leading up to the weekend when we do start the next round robin.
Yeah, that is it. You're absolutely right, because after that match that we've just concluded here, the third round robin has now officially ended, and starting next week on Friday, it will be the beginning of round robin number 4, the final one before we head into playoffs. The final standings now updated 17-4, tied second for Blank. The first time Blank have been in the second place since they dropped down after AHQ and Flash Wolves have repeatedly back-to-back taken away games from them.
Fantastic result for Blank, and importantly, only one win away from that first place spot. And they did it in the very first round robin, right? They beat Flash Wolves and AHQ.
Also, check it out, Machi and Hong Kong Attitude are now 11-10 respectively each, which is, that's interesting. You got a 17-17 forward and 11-10. So, two kind of rivalries there in terms of scores. At least Blank got to get past AHQ before they can touch Flash Wolves, Machi and Hong Kong Attitude. Well, now, by the end of this third round robin, either team can realistically take over each other. Where Machi sort of succeeded in the second round robin taking down Flash Wolves, Hong Kong Attitude have done it this round robin by taking down AHQ. So both of those teams looking fantastic as well. But unfortunately, Machi, they copped the loss against Blank, and both of these teams did get that loss against Blank in this round robin. And Blank go undefeated against teams below the top 3, but that's not where Blank have got their set sight on now. It is within that upper 2 section. 2 teams stand in their way between that number 1 spot.
Okay, well, I mean, check it out. If we follow the pattern right, first round robin, Blank undefeated. Second round robin was AHQ undefeated. Third round robin, which just finished, Flash Wolves undefeated. So now it's Blank's turn again, right?
I was going to say it was probably going to be Machi's turn.
Or is it Sun Sisters?
Just as a fun turn. It's Sun Sisters' turn to get a 7-0. No, I don't know. I'm not expecting... If any team's got a 7-0 again, it will be Flash Wolves. Realistically, they look completely out of this world. They really embarrassed AHQ, who then kind of lost to Hong Kong Attitude as well. But Flash Wolves even, let's be honest, really took it to Blank and 3-0'd them again. So Flash Wolves are the team to beat. Blank should have a very competitive match against AHQ, but it's Flash Wolves that is the true final boss in the final form of the OPC that Blank got to get past. Well, it's been a good round robin for Blank. This has been a decent sort of comeback, I guess, to at least tie up that second spot again.
It's unfortunately for Blank, though, not necessarily indicative of their results against the other 2 top teams. The only reason that they are tied up now with AHQ is because AHQ lost to Hong Kong Attitude. If that hadn't have happened, then we would see a first place tie, in fact, and Blank would still be the team trailing. So while they might be tied up for second, they still have to prove themselves against AHQ, where Hong Kong Attitude did.
Well, Blank will take that loss that AHQ had anyway, as it helps Blank at least get back into the second place spot, gets them that much closer to Flash Wolves again, who is by and far their real target in the competition. So, just as a bit of a recap, Flash Wolves, AHQ, and Blank now securely in the top 3 positions. 6 game wins is the difference between the 3rd place and 4th place, equal between Machi and Hong Kong Attitude. And that is too many games, I'm afraid, for them to now catch up. Not mathematically. Mathematically, it's possible, but Blank would have to drop 7 games, all 7 of their games in the next round robin, which is nigh impossible. That would be crazy, and I do not see it happening. Actually, AHQ as well, because they're tied with Blank. Either AHQ
so that's
Blank,
not even possible, because
either AHQ or Blank would have to drop all 7 of their games in the next round robin, and Hong Kong Attitude and Machi would have to pick up all 7, one of them. So, as long as Flash Wolves are there, I don't think either of them can actually pick up 7 games. So, like I said, nigh impossible. That means the top 3 has been decided. The bottom 5 is roughly decided again. The fight now continues. Who gets to be number 1? We're going to playoffs. Who gets to be number 4? And we are going to reveal the play of the game as well. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Trill. He does collect that one through.
yeah, I believe, he did a fairly decent job on all 4 of the maps today, just consistently getting in there and getting work done where DCR1 just simply could not. I mean, Trill was always harassing the back line, always essentially getting those early kills as well. It wasn't necessarily always eat you up. It was just, I mean, probably a combination of the two, but Trill was consistently there.
Yeah, he's been fantastic on Winston today. And interestingly enough, Eat Up was one of the few players where usually he's the backbone of the team. He's the massive hard carry, but he either A, hasn't needed to be, or B, unfortunately couldn't, which is, if it's the former, then great job, Blank are looking fantastic. If it's the latter, then that's an issue for Blank, because where he used to be super strong, if he's not anymore, they're gonna struggle against the other top two teams.
Especially Flash Wolves and Bacon Jack as well, who has been lauded as the very best tracer in the tournament by far. So, of course, yes, EU had not the most flashy results tonight, I suppose, but then again, it's always hard to tell. We'll have to go over it once more, but what a fantastic series by Blank. Only one map dropped against Machi, and it does really crush the hopes of Machi, but it does secure the hopes of Australian fans everywhere.
It is one map dropped against Machi, which is, if we want to read into that, comparing the results from other teams, it's one map that they would not be too comfortable dropping in the future, especially if you want to beat Flash Wolves, who are currently dropping no maps to anybody. That's a scary team to go up against. The Flash Wolves will have watched this matchup in particular with great interest. What I can say about Machi is it is fantastic of them to be at a level where they are picking up maps. They got a map against AHQ, they got a map against Blank. This is a team that can take maps off of top 3 teams. Maybe not quite a top 3 team themselves, but indeed very competitive.
Machi and also Hong Kong Attitude as well, with their results.
Can actually win matches too.
Especially, yeah, with that result as well, especially for the future, it really says a lot for their improvement, that they are teams to now watch out for, because they're not just fighting for 4th place anymore. They are, like you said, taking maps off these top 3 teams, not Blank because they're amazing and never drop a match to a team below the top 3, but the other two, I don't know how they do it, but it happens sometimes.
It happens sometimes. You know what? Stuff happens. Sometimes you just have a bad night. Sometimes you have a bad week. Sometimes you have an entire bad round robin. Got to get over it. You got to get past the hurdle, get back on the horse, and keep on riding through into the sunset that is the magical 4th round robin, which takes place in on Friday evening, Australian time anyway. It's going to be an interesting one. Here's a recap of tonight's standings. Hong Kong Attitude beat Fireball 3-1. Hong Kong Attitude then went on to beat Sun Sister 3-0 on their home day. Sun Sister then lost to Blank 0-3, and Machi as well 1-3 against Blank, who picked up 2 wins as the away side on both of those matches as well. So a very interesting day. If you expect the results in there, a couple of map wins from the other team. Fireball had a decent run through as well, I believe.
Yeah, I think Fireball definitely pulled out some good stops. I thought Game 1 was a fantastic series, right? Hong Kong Attitude and Fireball very, very competitive, especially that one map win that Fireball did pull out. It was definitely a test of which team improved the most, and Hong Kong Attitude unfortunately just came out a little bit above. The other 2 matches in the middle, match 2 and 3, Sun Sister unfortunately just still not able to produce any results, and it's a bit of a shame, but they do still have one more round robin to get a win on the table.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one as well. So for Fireball, maybe still opportunity for them to catch up to Machi and Hong Kong Attitude, but one of the more games to look forward to is definitely those 2 head-to-head. And it's going to be a hard one to call. Hong Kong Attitude have a decent run so far. So did Machi, and both these teams look fairly close. They're definitely fully tied up now. Any thoughts on that matchup?
Machi and Hong Kong Attitude. The last time they went up against each other, I believe Machi came out on top, but right now it's just so hard to say, right? Yeah. Hong Kong Attitude, you've said this since day one, that they should have been great results. You've been expecting so much of them, and only recently they've been coming up to that level. Yeah. And I feel like because of that, because of the level of play that they have had the potential to come up to, that shows that they are probably going to take out Machi in the next series. I'm calling that one.
Well, we're going to have to find out. We're going to go for a post-match interview now, once more with Serenity, and I'll be translating this one over.
其实因为你们长时间比赛，然后住在一起，然后其实对于我们一般人来讲，其实很少这种经验。那你们有什么就是比较难忘或是有趣的故事要分享给大家
Do you have any stories about living together?
毕竟他们来台湾，这是他们第一次出国，所以
So this is the first time for Blank to leave
通常
Australia.
他们年纪都偏小，所以这次出来也是第一次离开家人、离开父母。 所以
Some of them first time
比如
living
说
outside of home.
家事啊之类的事情就不太熟悉。
Some of them are not very familiar with housework.
因为我
And Serenity
因为我
ends
以
up
前也
having
有
to do
做过
most
这
of the
些经验，
housework.
所以我也了解，所以就是尝试教他们做一些比较基本的一些事情。
And Serenity's been trying to teach the other players as well.
如果说有趣的事情的话，就是当他们来台湾之前，去网络上看了一些那个关于台湾的一些资料，然后就有一些
So they kind of
关于
studied
健康的一
Taiwan
些资
before
料，
they
上
came
面
to
就有写
Taiwan.
说有可能那个就台湾什么就是有 A 型肝炎这样子，但是其实就是世界上几乎所有的国家都会有，只是他们看了之后就牢记在心说，在台湾有这种风险。
They were trying to figure
然后
out.
也不太敢喝自来水，所以
So
都是
they were a bit scared to drink the water in
由我
Taiwan.
们去那个超商去买一大桶一大桶的水。
So they were buying a lot of water at the supermarket.
水没了，然后要赶快出去跑几。
So if they run out of water, they have to go back to the
那
supermarket.
你刚刚有讲说，其实你刚刚在底下有偷偷的爆料说，其实有一件有趣事，就有一天早上起来的时候，发现家里面的厕所
So one day
塞
in the
住了。
morning,
是啊，
the
他们现在
toilet's
笑
locked
得那么
up.
开心，他都不知道说你们在爆他料。
Everybody's laughing on the blank side apparently.
好，那重点是有没有人承认？就隔
Did
天起来，
anyone
你说
own
塞
up
住
to
了，有
that?
没有人承认说，
Walking up the toilet.
其实对不起，是我昨天肚子痛。
有承认，但是
There
我
was a
公
player,
开的，
but Serenity's not going to tell
有在下面吗？
anyone.
不在台上。
Apparently that
好
person's not on，the
那我
stage
想问说
currently.
其实在，教练在宿舍当中有没有特别的，就是规定队员说有什么，比
Do you
如
have any
说12点要入睡啊，
particular
或者
rules,
说在床上
schedule-wise?
不准吃东西啊？
Well, how do you manage the team?
我们目前只有几样规定，就是关
We have
于
some rules.
用厕所、用浴室自己要打扫，还有就是
Toilet in the
垃
kitchen.
圾的部分要先那个
分类。
要做一些分类，他们还是不太懂，但是就是至少会把食物丢进一个专门那个处理食物的垃圾桶，然后回收的地方先摆着这样。
Teaching members
然后也有说晚
throw
上
rubbish in
入
the
睡
right
没
bin.
有特别规定，但是他们都心里有数。
We don't really have
规
a
定是早上11点。
time to wake
要
up,
起床。
but roughly 11 a.m.
通常团练的话，有可能1点，有可能3点，通常都是
Sometimes we start scrims at 1.
所以11点起床的话，才会
Sometimes we start scrims
有
at
精
3.
神来练习。
但他们会听吗？
Do
有
the
时候会
teammates
听，有时候
listen
不
to
会
you?
听，有时
Some
候
of them
就是
listen, some of them
我早
don't.
上把他们叫起来之后
I usually wake them up.
回来之后他们还在睡。
那你会查房吗？就一个个查说，你们赶快睡觉。
我是尊重他们的自己做决定，我也相信说他们
He kind of lets the
已经
members
也成熟了，所以这些事情的话，我让他
decide
们
for
自己做
themselves.
那在
Is,
团员当中有没有
they kinda
人
old
有
enough now?
一些怪癖，比如说有洁癖的啊，或
Do
者
any
是说
members
他有
have any
特别
weird
的
habits?
洁癖倒是没有，但是有几个人就是饮食上就会有一些特殊的要求。
Right,
比如
some members have
刚
some
宝他不
interesting
吃蔬
requests.
菜，然后也不吃水果。
Gumbo doesn't eat veggies or
那
fruits.
你这样不就爆料刚刚第一题我说有什么塞住的那个，就是因为不吃
Is
蔬
that
菜是
the hostess is saying? Is that why the toilet was blocked one day?
好，那不是他撇出来。
我也不说不是。
The Serenity says I cannot
那
confirm
有
or
什么
deny
怪
that.
癖吗？
就饮食大部分就是饮食方面的，就有一些比如说那个 A 叉，他不吃牛肉，因为他
A 叉 doesn't eat beef.
牛肉，然后他不喜欢
Part
吃
of
猪肉，
his-
所以只能吃
He
鸡肉，
doesn't
所以我
eat
在早饭的时
pork
候
either, so he only eats
对
chicken.
特别
要注意说一定要是有。
So Serenity has to especially
那
prepare
你
chicken
刚刚
for
有说
Ata.
啊，就是有些人比较容易打呼的，那你这样安排就
So
是睡
apparently
觉
some
宿舍的
members
时候是怎么样安排
How do you decide
开
who
始的
sleeps
话是
where and who
就是
with who?
有人打呼，所以安排让他一个人睡。
So
但是
people who
现在我们
snore
做一些
sleep by
很多调动
themselves.
然后因为我长大的时候，我父母也有人会打呼，所以我也习惯了，所以我现在
也就负责打扫，然后又要负责跟一些会打呼的人睡觉，是不是？
对，因为我很容易入睡，然后我入睡的
That's
话，
really says-
就算被吵醒，我可以再入睡也。
He doesn't really mind. He's kind of used to it.
这样
His
子我还
parents snore as well.
那我觉得应该他们趁你那么好入睡的时候，然后偷偷又跑出去玩。你应该
Is there
都不知
anybody
道
who
吧
pretend to
我们
sleep
有
and
规
then go
定
up
就
to
是
play?
不能偷
晚上
偷出去。
没有偷偷出去倒是还可以，就是他们毕竟是出去，但是我们有规定说晚上不能订外送的麦当劳。
Serenity says
然后
at
就
night
有过
you're not allowed to go to
我晚上
McDonald's.
睡着了，结果他们
偷偷订
我早上起来的时候，他们没有真的湮灭证据，
哦
然后就看到袋子啊，看到。
Sometimes
但是
Serenity
如果说
thought the
就是
members
他
went to
们
bed
违
and
反
he
了规
wakes
定
up
的
and
话，
finds
你会怎么
McDonald's
处
bags
理
and stuff.
笑笑带过。
也不会笑带过，就是警告他们，反正就是规定说11点要起床。如果他们那么晚吃饭的话，就表示他们还没有睡啊。那就是让他们知道说隔天那个练习或是比赛那个出错什么，就是你的责任的。
好，了解。那再次恭喜
members
PLK
need to sort
的
of take
这一次的
responsibility
比
for
赛。
themselves as
那
well
端
and
午
make
假
sure they
期
got a
连
bit
续
on
4
time.
天的比赛在这边呢要告
That's
一
kind of
个
it for
段
Blank.
落
So,
了。
you
那
know,
谢谢
maybe
大
we'll
家
get into a couch interview as well, but very interesting insight onto their sort of living styles and a couple of things they do at home.
Yeah, I mean, we mostly just found out about their eating habits, I suppose, but
Yep.
kind of interesting and maybe a little bit worrying that Gumba doesn't eat any vegetables or fruit, but look, I mean, fair enough, but
So yeah, we are going to get into a couch interview in just about 1 minute, but yeah, it is because a lot of people sort of, you don't get an insight into what it feels like to be a pro gamer as well. And so, you know, just one more time as to recap the night as well. Hong Kong Attitude 3-1 against Fireball, and then 3-0 against Sun Sister, and then Sun Sister taking an 0-3 against Blank, followed by a 1-3 loss for Machi against Blank Esports as well. So maybe they don't eat fruits and veggies at home for a couple of the members, but at least they're picking up some of these games now as they head into the final round robin.
yeah, definitely for sure. And like we said earlier today, it does essentially lock them into the top 3. It's going to be all about getting to that first place spot, stealing it away from the Flash Wolves, the Titans of the OPC.
It's going to be a tall order for them indeed. It's going to be a difficult one, but we'll have to see how they go, and that's all going to be happening on Friday next week. And I believe we should be getting into just one more piece of content here.
战队访问区，我是阿生，今天邀请到的是 Blank， 那请他们来先跟各位打一声招呼。
大家好，我是教练 Serenity。
Hi, I'm Akili. Hi, I'm Gumba.
是，那我们刚才有就是聊到说，就是你们其实 Blank， 今天面对 M7的时候，其实是还蛮辛苦的。在国王大道的时候，其实是让 M7拿下了一个大分数。对，不知道这一块就是整体而言，你们觉得 M7这支队伍的状态怎么样？
我觉得他们
How did you
对
feel about Machi's performance?
攻守目标非常有明确的一些步骤，所以他们那个很明显就是攻击的时候那个谁走位，然后防守的时候谁守哪里这样子。
So they were very good objective-wise. They knew exactly
然后他们那个
where to send
就是
members into the
overtime 的时
target.
候，他们就是很明显用3坦，就是要 hold 住大绝，然后打
They
一
were
波
very
直接
good
把我们
with
挡
3
下来。
tanks.
我们当时是有注意到他们谁有大招，只是当时那个战就是开战前的时候，最后一战之前的时候，我们有讨论说谁有大招谁要先抓，结果当时局面混乱的时候就没有真的打到
So
这
we
样
were
子。
planning on
是
how
的，
to
那
attack
想要
the
请
3
问一
tanks,
下，
but
说
we
你们今
kind
天面
of
到丧尸
didn't
的
do
时
that
候
correctly.
的一个神妙的一个出法，哇！你们出了这一个什么死神，对不对？就是一开始你们有换角，而且闪光是换人完，你们也不在意能量，就直接换了，然后呢搬出了死神，然后呢也再搬出了三不了这样的一个套路。这个套路是你们是特别针对上 Sister 的吗？
So when we played on Anubis against Sun Sister, we deleted a couple of votes where we swapped for a comfort second point. For example, when we delete like tracer things just for reap and things like that. Is it something that we do intentionally?
Yeah, so the whole point of the swapping heroes there is just we have a better strategy going forward to the second point, so we want to swap to it as quick as possible, even when like some teams would like to go straight to the point and try and rush and see if they can snowball, would prefer to just swap to our appropriate comp, and if that means deleting ults, we're totally fine with that.
就是说我们这些英雄换的目的，就是因为我们对第2点的话有详细的战术，然后就是要求这些英雄。很多队伍通常就是打完第1波的时候，还会试着借势继续把第2波推掉。但是我们认为这个我们也试着尝试过，只是成功的几率不会比就是我们直接换阵容，然后直接应用我们战术好。
是，对，整体的感觉是一个相当聪明，而且是有备而来的一个战术。其实我看的是非常的过瘾，我觉得蛮新鲜的，对，而且整体看起来是还蛮不错的一个套路。那目前其实 Blank 最早期是我们 OPC 刚开始第1周，然后第2周其实一直都维持着一个王者不败之姿。但是现在一样是虽然依然是在前段班，但是目前是位居第2名的位置哦。那不知道对此你们有一个什么样的一个想法吗？
So since after the first 2 weeks of APC was still undefeated, we sort of we're like reigning champions, and now we're equal with AHQ on second place. Do you have any thoughts regarding that? Any of you could answer.
We think that the real goal is to get to the playoffs and deliver a strong performance there, and these group stage games are important for our practice, developing our gameplay strategy, but we're not too worried about being second at this point.
我们的目标就是季后赛的表现。我们现在就是季后赛之前这些比赛，其实就是给队伍磨合、还有练习跟进步的机会。所以我们的目标还是就是 以季后赛为主。
我觉得这是一个非常大气的一个想法。对，因为各个队伍其实都非常的头疼，要怎么样挤进季后赛，你们却是已经确定自己会进季后赛了，却在为季后赛做准备，我觉得是一个相当不错的一件事情。那整体而言，目前从你们的132阵型，到22阵型，到现在的桑布拉阵的阵型，可以想请教一下，就是现在这样子的一个 meta 转变，对你们来说有没有什么你们觉得比较难以应付的阵型，还是特别上手的阵型
We played many different comps since attending APC. We started with like 3 DPS, moving to 2 to now, including Sombra and our comps. Is there, we react to the change in the meta. Is there anything that we find particularly troubling?
For us, the whole dive aspect was kind of a bigger learning curve for us than some other teams. Mostly me and Gumba speak and call for the team, so a lot of dive more relies on tanks and even the DPS calling more, so the learning curve was there for that, and we've kind of been trying to find what we're comfortable playing since we started really getting into dive. So like we started with 3 DPS, then we're running a lot of Tracer Genji, and now we're even running some Soldier and Tracer. So we're just trying to find a real comfort pick that we can just work on fundamental things that can get our dive steamrolling the other teams.
他是说我们一开始的时候，就是在这个面以前都是玩3坦阵，然后3坦阵的时候，因为我们主抠是这2位辅助，所以现在改成刺客阵的时候，就是比较需要依赖我们的刺客跟我们的坦来进行配合、进行沟通。但是因为他们一直以来都不是，他们的性格就不是这种会讲很多话的人，所以我们这个遇到在这个上面就遇到一些问题。我们现在就是在做一些就是变更，就是我们从早期的312变成22，然后有时候还带残影，然后现在还变成就是也会用76，还有加那个闪光的长短枪兵，然后我们就是在找最适合我们的一些阵容套路。
是，所以整体里面你还在寻找这样的一个套路，然后也要去为了季后赛而做准备。其实虽然这一切都是为了季后赛，对，但也是我们还有第4个循环呢，也是相当期待 Brank 第4循环的表现。对，那我们就话说回来，其实前面放的是3个粽子嘛。那其实教练应该知道端午节吧？对，那选手们其实有没有吃过粽子，或是过类似的节庆？
他们完全在台湾还没有机会过任何节庆，所以这是也是
第一次，是不是？
对，他们也不会有看过粽子之类的。
也没有看过。那你觉得他们看起来，你觉得这个食物现在看起来好吃吗
？Do you think the food looks appetizing?
No. Are those beans?
Some of them is yeah, some of them is beans, but mostly it's just gluten and rice on the outside to hold everything else inside. So there's meat, some vegetables like mushrooms and things like that inside. 就是大概解释一下粽子里面大概是什么。
哦，是。
看起来不太适合胃口，但是就是解释一下里面有什么成分这样。
可是这个粽子是我们就是工作人员准备的很辛苦的，为了这一次想要准备给选手，而且就是女性工作人员其实包得很辛苦，像他们2位都是记着非常深厚的这个眼神，是期待2位可以品尝一下。那会看着这个面子上面，就是之后愿意尝试一口吗
？The 2 ladies there, they worked really hard to prepare this, and they'd really like to see you guys try it out. Please have a go.
I'll give it my best go.
所以他们愿意做一个尝试。好啊，那我们可以现在可以稍微吃一下吗？是，然后吃一口，然后呢，分享一下味道。其实我非常享受，就是像外国人可以品尝得到我们的食物之后，他们表情上面的变化。
On the outside though, like on the corners, mostly it's just rice. If you want to eat the meat or things inside, you have to get to the center of it.
他们感觉看起来好像吃起来蛮好吃的。他说这我听得懂，他们说不错吃，
比看起来好吃。
比看起来好吃啊！对，他们不是长这样的啦，是我们猜过了啦。对，我们猜过了。对，他
就我们也没看过说是用那个竹叶包，他们也还没看过。
对，它原本是长的是叶子包起来，看起来是比较美观一点的。对，那也是希望你们会喜欢我们的这一个食物端午节，那吃个粽子，那也是应景一下。对，然后这边也是恭喜 Brank 今天拿下2胜，也谢谢 Brank 接受我们的采访，谢谢各位，
谢谢。
对，那我们在下一次的赛程呢，再跟各位再见。我是阿生，我们今天就在这边告一个段落了。礼拜5再见喽，大家晚安，拜拜。
Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Blank get to try some more Taiwanese food, give up that McDonald's life, and here it is. Here we go.
I'm not sure Arkizi and Goomba looked too sold on it, but I think they liked it after they tried it though.
Yeah.
Or maybe felt pressured to it.
Don't knock it off until you try it.
I mean,
don't drudge food by, I don't even know, the rice coating outside, whatever it is. There you go.
I mean,
get to learn a lot about Blank. I think we've learned a decent amount about Blank, and we'll learn, I guess, plenty more about Blank in the upcoming couple weeks that we have left. Of course, we're going to finish up week number 8 of a total 13-week competition. So 3 more weeks left, which will be the round robin. Then week 12 and 13 is going to be the playoffs that we've been waiting for so long. Blank, AHQ, and Flash Wolves will be kicking that one off. But join us this week on Friday evening. We're going to start things off with Sun Sister versus AHQ, and then a big one. It's AHQ versus Flash Wolves. 2 of the Titans on top of the leaderboards will be duking it out. But it has been now the conclusion of round robin number 3. I've been Kevin AVRL. Walker. With me tonight is Matt Smite Ross, and earlier on was Matt Pixie Carroll, who ironically told you not to disappear, but he made a bit of a disappearing act himself. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We will see you on Friday.